What is up, Flannelverse? I am back once again with John Jackson, aka at JonBoyBeats on Twitter. John, you told me I'll get right into it. First of all, actually, I won't get right into it. I'll first of all ask you how is your night going?
It's going great. Did a little walk with the dogs. It was a little hotter than I thought, so trying to cool off here and draft some best ball teams.
How hot is it there?
I think it's probably right now. It's probably like high 70s, so
Oh,
it's
that's
not
not
that
bad.
hot.
Not
But
bad.
no, we're creeping up. I know we've got a big Fourth of July party planned, so I was looking at the weather, and it looks like we should be creeping up near 90 this weekend. So
Ooh.
um, yeah, won't be too bad, but we'll be good.
We also have a 4th of July backyard barbecue plan, but it might be rainy here in Minnesota. So
Oh
might have to bring it inside. Pretty unfortunate for 4th of July. You count on
yeah,
that nice
yeah.
weather, but we'll make the most of it. Still have some good food, some beer, all that kind of stuff. So it'll still be a good
Yes.
time. Um, you told me that you had done some sims um on this slate, and you're specifically looking at the back half of the draft, taking a running back versus a receiver. Do you want to get into that right now? Should I get into a lobby and we can talk about it as we start the first round? What do you
Yeah, I
say,
think
fellas?
maybe hop in the lobby and we could see how it goes. I mean, I think I can kind of break the ice for it. One of and we talked about this the last time I was on, but just trying to like the whole
Getting in.
zero RB or have this many wide receivers before this many rounds or whatever, right? Like that. I feel like a lot of that is based on like historical stuff, which
Sure.
is cool, but it also doesn't really account for like the current ADP landscape, right? And so what I was trying to do, right, and because I have a database of all like the historical scores of all the players for the last like 3 4 years on underdog scoring specific, and so like from there you can kind of create some standard deviation stuff. You can kind of add that to some projection type stuff and really kind of like build out some really easy sims for like how a lineup projects every week kind of thing.
Okay.
And so what I did is I basically looked at every combination of like I came up with a thesis of like six running backs and six wide receivers and four running backs through like 10 rounds, right? And
Okay.
I just looked through like all the kind of different combinations of that. What do we get here? We got the 103.
We got the 103, so we can make our
All
pick,
right,
and
all
then
right.
we have a little while to continue talking. McCaffrey
Yeah.
at 3, is that a good call for us?
Holy shit. Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take McCaffrey. Hell yeah!
Wow, that's great.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, so basically I just kind of looked at like, okay, here's all, every potential way. There's like 210 different options, 210 different combinations of, six wide receivers, four running backs through
Okay.
whatever. And so then I was starting with the back half of the draft for two reasons. Number one, I feel like the decision point between like the Bijan Brees like combo right there in the middle. I know a lot of people skipping over them and going like AJ Brown, Puka, maybe even Garrett Wilson before them, or less people that I hear, but some are taking stands on trying to get overweight. Bijan and Brees, when they do inevitably fall. So I just wanted to kind of like solve for that one, and I've been getting like I get so many picks at the end of the drafts. Like I actually started tracking it through like 50 drafts because it was pretty stupid. But like my my like I'm like super overweight like the back half of the draft right now through all my BBMs.
Sad.
Um, and so it was just something that I was trying to start from there and figure out. And so, anyways, what it actually pulled out, and I'm still like tweaking the kind of edges of everything and trying to like add in some different like QB and tight end type of things. But really what it kind of like flushed out through going through like each iteration of it was the the strength of the running backs like early in drafts this year is actually like pretty predominant when you sim things out, right? And I think it makes the most sense from like the probably like call it the worst like RB build, which would be which would be like six wide receivers straight and then four running backs,
Okay.
right? And so like when because I think the thing that everybody talks through, right, is like, oh well, I want my wide receiver room to be like full before the whatever the cliff. So I feel like I feel good about my wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
But like you still only start like three receivers and a flex, right? And so like and you definitely do start two running backs every week, right? And
Yeah.
so like I think there's like a way that we've almost kind of skimmed a little bit too far. And like I don't have the numbers off the top of my head pulled up here, but like the gaps of like the kind of the optimal lineup, or the optimal kind of build, which I'll get into later, versus like some of the more fringy builds. Because what I did is I like did like, okay, if you draft a receiver in the first, or receiver in the first, receiver second, running back third, receiver fourth, whatever, like, and just kind of picked like the cohort of guys that are going in there, and
Mhm.
just grabbed a random week from a random one of those guys, and then said like, okay, well, based on these 10 players, this is the ones that hit the lineup. This is how much it scores over a 17-week season, whatever. Right. And so it got to like a season long score for like that thing. And then I did it like, 4,000 times for each iteration. Right. So it was just like just a bunch of different combinations just to like try to kind of get to like what it roughly is.
Mhm.
And like the gap between like over the season long deal was like 40 to 80 points in some cases, which I feel like is pretty meaningful, like of points that you are giving up. Like when you look at your pods, like especially if you're looking like the second to third gap, like that's like a 20-point gap sometimes, right? And like
Yeah.
oftentimes like the first place guy maybe gets out a little bit ahead, right? But
Yep.
I think like Neil Farley did some work on this, but like the
Yeah.
gap between second and third is like pretty close. And so anyways, I just thought it was a beneficial exercise to like kind of like go through and just figure out like, okay, what is like makes sense, and then what kind of doesn't make sense. So maybe we'll stop here while we pick.
Yeah, I wanna flesh this out a little bit more because I don't totally fully understand what you're talking about. Let's make the pick, and then I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
ask some follow-up questions. Um, alright, so this is, sorted by, ADP here. So we have
Yeah.
Waddle, Debo, Evans, Devonta Smith.
I feel like we kind of got to go Waddle here as like the Tyreek leverage off three. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah, happy to go Waddle here.
because I wouldn't typically do Tyreek and Waddle together. I just think it's a little bit thin. I mean, maybe it works. I mean, it works perfectly if like they ping pong back and forth through the playoff weeks, but
Right.
it feels a little bit thin to me.
Yeah, the like,
But
what
if
you're
you
really
can
hoping for with
leverage
Waddle
it,
is that
yeah,
Reek is hurt or something like that. So yeah, it's yeah,
right, right.
could work out great, but uh would you want to go Achane second running back paired with Waddle? Would you want to go receiver again here?
No, I think I would typically go Mike Evans here, get the second receiver going.
Yeah, a little bit later, a little bit past ADP on Mike Evans. So that feels good. All right, so my so sometimes
Is the red your percentage? Your the
that is
exposure you have?
that it is about a week old. I have not updated
Yeah,
my exposures, but this is about a week
got it.
old exposures. Definitely, there that has changed a little bit since then. I've done several of the like $3 10-second clock kind of drafts, um,
Hmm, hmm.
and done a few best ball manias also. But yeah, that is my exposures as of about a week ago, and that's not just from best ball mania either. That is every post NFL draft that I've done.
Right, right, right.
All right. So you say about a 40-point gap in some instances. So between like which construction that's like taking 40-point gap between like if you go with a Puka Nakua versus Brees or Bijan, or like what do you mean by that exactly?
I guess it would be more so like if you just like if I looked at all 210 things on like a list, right? Like the ones that kind of scored the highest versus the one that scored the lowest was like
Yep.
I think the maximum was like an 80-point swing. And most of them were probably in the 40 range if you kind of call it suboptimal. So anyways, and I mean that's not really the part that's too important. It's more I think so talking through like what I kind of did with it after, right? So then what I did was like I kind of like um because like when you look at this thing on the sheet, there's like all these different combinations, like wide receivers and running backs and all the shit, and it's like okay, well, like some have really high scores, but like I can't really tell why this is that much different than some of these other ones, right? And so I just kind of like started summing them by like where position was drafted. So I just started with wide receiver one, and I just said, okay, if you had your wide receiver by round one, by round or in round one, in round two, in round three, whatever, and just kind of looked for like some stuff that like made clear sense there, and then just kind of like moved to the next position. And so really what it ended up boiling down to was the there was actually like a really clear it, and I just pulled it up to for some context, right? So when I looked at the all 210 together, I just grabbed the top like 20 percentile, like the top 40 lineups. And then I looked at how many times like this constructed ended up in the top 40, top 20th percentile, whatever, right? And so just for kind of some context of like how many times this bubbles up, because like obviously there's a lot more wide receiver in round one builds than there is like wide receiver one and round four builds,
Mhm.
just with the math and the combos. And so what it kind of fleshed out was wide receiver one in round one landed in the top 40 lineups only 5% of the time.
Hmm.
Or 5% of the builds landed in the top 40 lineups. 5%, yeah, 5%. Where RB1 in round one, which is essentially the same, there's a little bit more wide receiver one builds, but generally speaking, it's like 140 to 80 or something, or might be less than that. I'm making stuff up now, but that happened 40% of the time. So 40% of the RB1 builds landed in the top 40 lineups. And so really what that pointed out to me is like at this part of the draft, Bijan, Brees, and even Gibbs, like they are just clicks that you should make. Like if they are there at ADP, like take an RB because the scores that they have versus the wide receivers and all the kind of ancillary builds that follow are pretty overpowering. And expect what I'm expecting to see when I do the other half of the board is that it's not going to be as drastic. One, partially because it's just kind of McCaffrey over there, but two, I think that cliff between the wide receivers, like I would say Amonra is kind of that middle line, right? Where maybe he's
Yeah.
in that elite four, maybe he's not, maybe he's closer to the back four, whatever. That's kind of the group that probably has a couple more questions. So, anyways, I'll keep going after we make some picks here.
Okay. Oh man, look at this. All right, this is sort of by ADP. This is definitely a wide receiver avalanche room. I guess this is just becoming standard though. Like Terry McLaurin at 46 is the top receiving option available. This is sorted by ADP.
Yeah. I
Would
mean, I feel like you got to go Josh Allen here, but I don't know.
we could go Josh Allen. We could always do the take Mark Andrews, hope that Lamar Jackson falls, which is a little bit more likely since Josh Allen is still there. But if you just want to get a falling Josh Allen, should we just do it?
I think you got to take Josh Allen at the end of the fourth, man. That
All right.
seems pretty damn good to me.
Yeah.
And
We got the
there's plenty of
RB1,
outs.
QB1. Yeah, feels good.
Yeah, there's plenty of outs there. That's kind of crazy. I don't think I've seen Hurts sneak back there, but I haven't really seen Allen fall that often.
Should we take Mark Andrews or you want to go Terry McLaurin? We only have two receivers.
Yeah, I kind of think I kind of like a receiver here. I would
Yeah.
go McLaurin or Keenan Allen. I'll
All
leave it up
right.
to you.
I usually go McLaurin, but I only have, as you can see here, only have
Right.
4% Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
So let's get our exposures up a little.
Yeah, I think I've been clicking a lot of Keenan Allen. Because if we look at the board, so the reason so this is one of my theories that I'm going to get to, but I think the uh, premium QB and premium tight end is a little bit not scoring great in the Sims. So that's why I think the decision is probably one or the other makes the most sense. Um, but because when did we have what's after 75? What pick do we have there? It would be like
94.
94. Yeah, so that's like right in the Brock Bowers range, which I've been liking to click him a lot. So I think I've been really coming around to like the like Dak, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels group of
Me
QB,
too.
and then like the Brock and Joku, sometimes Ingram falls, sometimes Ferguson falls around there. Like those two groups, I feel like I feel like you really like your lineups when you take from those
Always feels
buckets.
pretty good. Agreed.
Yeah.
Um, to answer, Chip Skylark says this is the sim talk is just for pick 7 to 12. That is correct, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I'm gonna rerun it for the front half of the draft. I think it's a little less fun for the front half, and I'm probably just gonna do it as like wide receiver being the only option there because like I don't know, I just don't think it's that fruitful to be like, yeah, you should probably draft CMC first. Like, it's like,
Right. True.
yeah, no shit. So anyways, so like we it kind of bubbled up that the running back in round one, was really good, and then pretty routinely and when I was kind of putting together the numbers, I wanted to see if stuff like really popped out when I did it per round. And if it did pop out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write this as a rule. If it didn't and it was a little bit more squishy, then I just said, okay, well, maybe like I've kind of gotten too far down the path and we'll kind of circle back to these rules. And so in order, like wide receiver one, wide receiver two, and wide receiver three, we're like super clear that it says get that in round two or three, round three or four, round four or five, right? So, essentially the way that you can look at, like the way that I'm continue with my analysis is like figuring out where I have my like luxury picks, call it, right? So
Sure.
the Sims say to draft an RB first, and then it says basically have three receivers through round five,
Okay.
but then it doesn't really say like running back early didn't really work out that well, right? Didn't like running back in two in round two didn't look good. Running back two in round three didn't look good. Running back two in round four didn't look good, right? And so really, then that kind of like if you look at how the board works there, it's really like okay, you can start talking about tight end or quarterback around. I like to push them to the beginning of round four, right? And obviously, we just saw Josh Allen fall to the end of round four, right? So
Right.
you're definitely going to get Josh Allen, Hurts, Laporta, and Kelsey. That's kind of like the four pack there that you're gonna try to get into round four. Or so anyways, so that was like the big four that kind of stuck out, right? Was start with an RB and then get three wide receivers by round five, but also like don't get another RB early, right? And I think that also that like pretty much aligns with like what people are talking about. For the most part through like the beginning of drafts here, right? It's like
Right.
get your wide receiver firepower there, and so it's good to see that like played out in the Sims. Maybe I'll pause here and we can check back to the board.
It just occurred to me that somebody took Dalton Kincaid, the pick after us, so that one kind of hurts. Do we
Oh, I yeah, damn, I forgot about that.
do we want to go DeAndre Hopkins, Rasheed Rice?
Yes,
Okay.
D Hop, baby. I love D Hop.
All right. Yeah, I complained on a stream yesterday that every time I take Josh Allen, I literally never get Dalton Kincaid to fall back to me. Of course, JD
Mm,
MRE decides to take him uh, ahead of ADP here in this case. Like, come
mm,
on, man.
yeah,
But
yeah.
whatever.
And then Allen is 12. So yeah, I like. So did all the running backs come off the board here? The like mix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks like
Okay.
we got a little gap here.
Yeah. So I don't like any of those really. Mm, I
Do you like Rashi Rice? I mean, this
Yes.
is a fall
Yes.
for Rashi Rice.
Yeah, definitely, especially right now in a wide receiver heavy room. I mean, he's been going in the mid 60s, so yeah, we are pretty set on receiver, I think. I mean, this is like the group where feeling like you have five coming out of it feels pretty damn good. And then the fact that we were able to pair that with CMC also, which makes you not worry about running back, seems pretty damn strong to me.
Easy would like to know if you have simmed D's nuts.
Yeah, I know. He asks about that a lot. He almost asks me that daily, I think.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Um, so you've I don't sim, so I'm probably not going to ask the most intelligent questions that I could possibly ask of your
Yeah,
methodology. But
yeah.
the sims, the way that you just described this, you're saying you're simming for specifically taking six receivers and four running backs through the first 10 rounds. Like you're not simming for
Right.
any other like taking quarterbacks, tight ends through the first 10 rounds. But are those included in the lineups that you're simming against?
Yeah, correct. So basically, the way that I did it to kind of like baseline it, and that's a pretty good question is so drafting 10 of those flex positions, but then I assumed that I just also grabbed a quarterback in the first 12 rounds, and then a tight end in the first 12 rounds, right? And so I literally just picked, or my quarterback one and my tight end one was like somewhere between those first 12 rounds. And that may sound like counterintuitive, like how does that actually work if you start like why does like, but when you do it over like 4,000 things, like it all kind of like balances out, and like there's enough like you know Josh Allen things in the mix, and enough like Jaden Daniels, like it kind of doesn't matter. It just helps to form what like a full season score is, right? To kind of like help give it a little bit more context. So anyways, so I did just the baseline of like every team just grabs a quarterback up here and then another quarterback late. And then like same thing with some of the later rounds. I just did like broader ranges, right? So like wide receiver 7 and wide receiver 8 was just like from rounds 12 to 15 and 16 to 18, and then same thing for the late running backs and late tight ends, late quarterbacks. I just kind of kept it way broader back there because I feel like that's number one. Those are the like kind of after rounds like 10, 11, 12, like the back half of the draft even like is going to move around a lot more as the summer goes, right? The
Sure.
ADP swings are going to affect a lot of more things. They also don't matter as much, right? And so it's like, I just didn't think it mattered that much trying to really sort through all those pieces. It was just like, let's just kind of get what a average player in this range usually scores, and then we'll kind of focus on the stuff up front because like, I mean, it does feel like the positional groups and the positional like different tiers are really starting to form pretty well in the beginning of drafts, I would say, right? Like even recently, like the kind of some of those like more questionable rookies kind of scooting back while like the Hopkins and Deontay Johnson and like those guys kind of scooting up a little bit, like that,
Yeah.
even that makes sense, right? So now where like that cliff is like the JSN, the Keon Coleman, like that kind of group. And that like makes sense to me.
All right, we are up next. I see two picks that I really like here. I think Curtis Samuel just complete the stack.
Yeah, we do need to complete the stack. Damn, I wish we didn't need to do that,
You
but we
want
don't really have many
Jalen Warren,
outs.
or I mean, yeah,
No, I mean, I think unstacked Josh Allen is pretty bad, but we
we do have Khalil Shakir that we could take, but that's leaving us
yeah,
just
let's
one
take
out.
Warren. Let's whatever. I think I'm good with it either way.
All right,
It's all
we
good.
took Curtis Samuel. Um, I see you wanted Warren for the Rushy Rice week 17 correlation.
Mostly just because I feel like we need a running back.
Oh,
Uh,
sure. I mean, we could theoretically be done at wide receiver, I think.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, we definitely don't need to think about it for a while.
We also could go tight end here because we don't have a tight end.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably prefer Bowers over Pollard if he falls to us, and then we just start getting weird at. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
we'll have better running backs on the next turn.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right, we're looking good. Um, how well do you think your sims account for injuries? Like I've heard that sims, it's difficult sometimes to account for injuries, and that's obviously a big part of zero RB strategy. Is running
Mhm.
backs get hurt pretty frequently, and then they're the guys you can get in round 14, 15 suddenly become second round kind of players, have that kind of values. So how well do you think your sims account for injuries to to the running backs that you're taking, or also like for boosting up players you can get later on?
Yeah. So I think from a standpoint of like specifically like boosting, right? If like a guy goes down, then another guy's better or whatever. It doesn't really do that. It does take into account like range of outcomes though, right? So like, you know, so in other words, it's not like it won't be a one to one boost, right? So like if Christian McCaffrey goes down, it won't in the same week boost Eli Mitchell. Like it's not that
Okay.
smart.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean that we can't see Eli. Like it doesn't mean Eli Mitchell will never score like 15 points or 18 points or whatever through the life of the season. Like he's
Right.
not just going to be like a 6 point guy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, like it's close enough. It's not like the most sophisticated thing ever. It's literally just all in Google Sheets. So, but I do think the point that's worth bringing up, and this is actually what Easy threw a wrench in my giddy up earlier in the week because he was kind of mentioning that running like the whole thesis is yeah, like you said, running backs miss more games, and so that could lead to the Sims, thinking running backs are better because, whatever, but you kind of got to bake a couple more like zeros into the score.
Hmm.
And so I did actually adjust for that kind of mid running it. And um, I thought that I had set it up to where I had baked in some zeros, but I'd only done that for like the high variance guys. So I had done that for like a Justin Fields,
Okay.
or like, I don't know,
The
maybe like a
expected
Drake May,
zeros.
something,
Jonathan
right?
Brooks potentially, or
Yeah, exactly. Some of those guys, right? So where they're projected to miss like a ton of games, or at least a big chunk of games, right? I had kind of baked zeros into their distribution, but I hadn't done it globally for just like running backs miss, a game or a game and a half more than wide receivers or whatever. And so essentially, what I did is I just docked the running because I have my total score broken out by like running back group, wide receiver group, whatever, and so I just docked the running back score for each combo basically.
okay.
And so what that did is it obviously lowered the scores, but all running backs, theoretically have the same injury risk type of stuff, right? And so essentially like the running like in the builds where running backs were earlier, it docked more points than in the builds where running backs were later, but still like all builds docked points kind of thing, right? So it
Right.
kind of still, it wasn't like a big groundbreaking thing, but I think it is worth talking about and making sure that's like in there. And I was actually kind of glad that Easy brought that up.
We just had a running back avalanche after our last pick, which
Jeez.
was pretty unfortunate for us. Um, with that said, we have Chase Brown, Zeke Elliott, Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I'm good with
Um,
Chase Brown. I feel like we need to get a couple RB points here.
yeah.
Unless Christian McCaffrey really just changes the world.
I mean, it is nice having Christian McCaffrey here. That helps.
Yeah.
I guess we can pull up, have this at the ready in case we want any other position. Gonna be tough to take another position here. I mean, I guess we could have taken Caleb. We have Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I feel like we're fine punting on QB. Like we can grab Levis.
Yeah, we got to
We
wait
could grab
Baker.
Baker.
Yep.
Yeah. Or we could get weird late. So
Jerome
I
Ford,
think
I'd be fine with.
yeah,
I don't
I
have.
think
I have 1%
Ford's great.
Eckler. If you wanna, I don't.
Yeah, I probably prefer Ford. Um, but I feel like Eckler's gonna shove it in everyone's face like by week 4 and everybody's gonna
I
go
know.
shit.
I sort of feel that way too. I was comparing just a little while ago. I was comparing 3 different offensive line rankings. So there was Fantasy Points came out with their offensive line rankings article recently. ETR, of course, has theirs, and then Mike Clay. I was just comparing best offensive lines, and the Browns were top 4 in all 3 of them, which is some of them they had like big discrepancies between different teams, but the Browns look great in all 3 of the rankings, which makes me a little bit more interested in Jerome Ford
Yeah.
because I'm expecting Nick Chubb to miss a good amount of time.
Have you been taking what's your Nick Chubb exposure? 5%?
That is a good question. Oh yeah, you can see it here. Oh, that's actually significantly more than I would have guessed. I probably would have told you
Really?
2% would have been my guess. I don't take a ton of Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I take him generally in like the 150s. Like I don't reach for Nick Chubb
Yeah.
certainly. That
He's been
actually
falling.
No, I was gonna say that might be because I did a couple drafts last week, a few nights ago in the like 15-second drafts or maybe the 10-second whatever,
Oh yeah.
and I
Yeah.
fell asleep and I was using the
There you go.
fantasy points rankings and I think I got Nick Chubb on both of the teams when I fell asleep. So, but I don't
There
think
you
that's
go.
accounted for here because I don't think I grabbed the exposures.
Yeah. I draft quite a bit of Chubb. I feel like I don't know. It's probably a pretty dumb pick because he could just be a lame duck for a year, but I don't know. I feel like he's still got the boosties there in the last weeks when you need them, and
Yeah, if he's
we'll
just
see.
Nick Chubb for a few weeks at the end, you'll be glad you took
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
He's
I've
one of
been
those guys where I feel like the price is like about what it should be, right? And so like I
yeah,
don't really have a take either way. Like I don't really have the oh he's too expensive take because by like around 12, 13, it's like who really cares? And so I'm totally fine scooping him there, especially as like fourth running back or something. Like that just
right.
seems pretty easy.
Yeah, you can take that risk with your fourth running back.
I
Yeah,
did have a realization that the Chubb and Chuba Hubbard correlation works pretty well for like an RB4 and an RB5, right? If you take Chubb, who's going to miss games early, and you take Chuba, who's probably going to get a lot of run out of the gate, and then maybe cede a lot of work to Jonathan Brooks, like that's a pretty fun like 4 or 5 RB combo, and just kind of stop there and just assume that like but those guys combined are going to be a really solid running back four, and you've already got three other good ones. So it's like good enough kind of thing.
you got the name correlation, you got the, when
Exactly.
they play. Yeah. Oh yeah. I had not thought of that, but maybe I'll start doing the Chubb Chuba. Yeah. Well, see, I feel like so he goes 133 here. I think that's a little bit earlier than usual for Chubb. What's his ADP now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
142.
140.
So
Yeah,
so
140.
the ADP now to me is better than it was. Like for a while, he was like literally in the pre-draft stuff, he was a top 100 pick, which is just insane. So I think some of us that
Yeah,
were
yeah, that
doing a
is
lot of
crazy.
pre-draft stuff are just like we wrote him off, and now it's like now his price is falling. Where it's like, yeah, we probably
Yeah,
should be drafting Nick Chubb at this point. At that point, it was like, well, that's insanity for a guy who might be a zero
yeah.
owner. But now it's like, yeah, he's probably worth
Did
the
you
risk
max the
here.
big board?
Yes, I
Nice,
did. Yep.
nice, very nice.
Um, hang on. Let's. I did get a request. I think Easy requested that we read off the team, so I will do that now. We have Josh Allen at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford at running back. At wide receiver, we have Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashi Rice, and Curtis Samuel. And at tight end, we have Brock Bowers
So from a stacking standpoint, we really only have Levis,
and
right?
Baker and
Or
Baker.
Levis and Baker. Yeah, I like both of those.
I do too.
So we got some good outs there. I like this group of running backs right here um,
I do
a
too.
lot
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Rico Dowdle goes.
Yeah, it looks like he's one of your highest guys, 25% or something.
Yeah, I think he is possibly my highest guy. I really like Marshawn Lloyd here. He is a week 10 buy, so if you prefer Ty Chandler, we could do that.
No,
I'd be happy to see that.
I'll go Lloyd. I'll stick with my Packer fandom here. Let
Oh,
that
that's right.
override it.
No, I'm gonna go Chandler because I'm a Vikings fan. No, just kidding. I'll go. We'll go Lloyd. Despite the week 10 buys, I was listening to an ETR pod earlier, and you can see. I guess I only have 9% Kendra. I actually thought I had significantly more than that, but they were talking about how apparently he's not looking good so far in OTAs, which I
Okay,
had not heard
okay.
until I listened to that pod.
Yeah. I feel like I don't. I don't know. We were arguing about Chris Olave today in Discord, but I feel like I'm pretty out on the Saints altogether. But maybe I'll look stupid for that with the new coordinator.
Would you want to go Ty Chandler here? We're still catching up at running back, I think, unless you want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think grabbing Chandler there.
What do you think of running back correlation for week 17? Is that something you've looked into at all? Like that's one of those things that I'm like intuitively, I don't feel like there's a ton of like positive correlation in getting. So we got Lloyd and Chandler. They're both backups, obviously, too. So if we run into
Yeah,
the situation where they're both starting, I mean, I guess we'll feel good about that. But like from a like game situation, have you looked into that at all? If there's actually like positive correlation in opposing running backs in the same game? Because to me, that's like a little bit less intuitive than wide receivers.
yeah. No, I think opposing running backs, just like rule of thumb, are going to be pretty negatively correlated. I also feel like it doesn't matter as much. Like both of these guys, like I feel like that's just we fell into the week 17 thing, but both of
Mhm.
these guys, we're kind of just hoping for a little bit of upside there with one of the old guys ahead of them getting hurt.
Right.
which could easily happen.
Yeah. I mean, for these two, I agree. Like, it's just like you're just hoping that one of them starting at that point. But like, as a more general rule, like it's one of those things that like, yeah,
Yeah,
intuitive. I look at them like, oh yeah, I got to get that week 17 correlation. But when I see there's two running backs on opposing teams, I'm a little bit more like, I'm not really sure that there is positive correlation there.
yeah,
Again, I don't run my own sims. That's just kind of an intuitive instinct. Is
yeah,
like I don't really think that there is positive correlation there, even though we look at it and we say, oh, we got, Isaiah Pacheco. So obviously Najee Harris is going to be positively correlated with Isaiah Pacheco. And maybe they are, but
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. What's your how are you feeling about Josh Allen with just Curtis Samuel? Because that's pretty much all we have left, right?
We
I mean,
could
I
add
guess
on
you could
Dawson
throw in
Knox,
a Dawson Knox at the end, yeah.
or there's I don't know if Mike is here. Hit him with the greedy, who has like
Oh yeah, Chase
74%
Claypool.
Chase Claypool. I
Yeah.
early on I was drafting a bit of Mac Hollins. There's MVS there if we want him, but I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
I'd be fine with Josh Allen just having a single stack.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the only thing the only thing that I think about with the single versus double, right, is like I wouldn't think, Curtis Samuel doesn't necessarily profile as like an alpha guy, right? So it seems like if you think about the Bills, right, they're gonna have like a pretty widespread target share, and so it seems like in that case you want to have a couple outs for
Yeah.
stacks, but I mean we've kind of boxed ourselves in a little bit. Maybe an MVS flyer. I'll take an MVS flyer. I won't take a Chase Claypool flyer.
All right.
But and then just thinking through bringbacks too, right? So we could probably think about Conklin. We could probably think about Corley if he's still there.
Yep. Let's see.
And then I don't know. I feel like this is the part of the draft where I start thinking about making sure I got my bases covered on that kind of stuff.
Yep. No, I think that is wise to do here, and we could probably get one of those and a quarterback at this turn might make sense for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if we go Levis, kind of ran out of Jags already. Um, that's all right. Because we could go Corley and Levis, or we could go Conklin and Levis right here, and that would work out pretty good.
We could go Chuba and Baker also,
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, that could work out too.
but I mean that's one of those like if you have a preference for Levis
I
over
guess there's
Baker,
Ray Davis still sticking around too.
oh, that's
Um,
true.
I don't really have a strong opinion on him, um, but I think it would make a lot of sense to grab him. I don't know. Let's see. Look at our RB room. 5 RBs. I feel like 6 RBs makes sense in this case. Chuba just went.
Chuba goes, so we don't have the Baker tiebreaker now. So we could go Ray Davis and then take whoever comes back to us if one of them comes
Ye
back.
Yeah, I think we take Ray Davis here, and that makes us feel a little bit more confident with our Josh Allen stack. I don't know if,
Yeah.
we're for purposes of this stream, we'll just say that Ray Davis is gonna catch a lot of passes this year. I guess I
Yeah,
don't know if I
right.
have an actual take on him.
I don't I think of him as just being like he's going to get the ball at the one and run it into the end zone, but I know
Yeah,
very little about Ray Davis.
me too, me too. And so then we'll look pull up the quarterbacks. Is Levis still hanging out?
Levis is still there, so we got Baker, we got Levis. Do you have a
What do you like
preference between the
better
two?
here? Because I feel like Levis gets us a couple more outs for tight end or receiver,
That's true. That's a good
probably.
call. I like that call. I like
Yeah,
that call. Levis is
yeah,
just more fun too. Like just like he
yeah,
feels like more exciting.
yeah. I
So
think he's
yeah,
just a perfect guy to pair with Josh Allen too, because it's like I don't probably really need Levis to score any points this year, except for like
right.
the one bye
Week
week and
12.
maybe
Yep.
once or 12 or once or twice throughout the year. So might as well just go with the guy who's going to gunsling it.
Yeah, no, that's go for yeah. Hopefully he has a couple of those games where he puts up 35, maybe outscores Josh Allen or 30 whatever. And then
Yeah.
covers him in the bye week. That's all you're really hoping for there. Josh Allen should be awesome.
So one of the things, and I feel like I didn't tie the bow on the sim stuff very well, but anyways, so going back to kind of the rules there, right? So we had the one running back through one, and then 3 wide receivers through five. So then what I did is I just sorted by those lineups only because after I started doing stuff with all 210 lineups, everything was kind of gray after that. So I'm like, okay. if I've convinced myself that this is optimal through like 5 rounds, well, let's just only look at these, 50 combos that are this combo or that are this that fall into these parameters. And then from there, a couple more things jumped out, and one of them is actually really interesting to me that I'm been really trying to pull the string on to figure out what it means, but it was actually the running back 2, like rounds like 6 and 7 both worked pretty well for that. And then the wide receiver 4, it actually made a lot of sense in round 8. A lot of like that was popping out a lot in round 8, which is a little bit
Huh.
different than everybody saying, "Hey, get your 4th wide receiver by round 7."
Right.
I think it has a little bit to do with the way the board works over here because round 7 is the way that I had to kind of set it up in order for it to work perfectly. Round 7 is like that shitty end of the string where it is like the JSN, the Keon Coleman's, like that, like a Jameson Williams, like that crew that like nobody really likes. And then the round 8 was actually Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Lockett, like some of those guys pulling forward a little bit just to be on that half. And I think probably that group, probably grades out a little bit better than the round 7 group just from a, sim standpoint. And so
Right.
that might be a little bit of noise. But if we're specifically talking about trying to draft in, that side of the board, I think that does make a little bit of sense to me because likely you're probably not wanting to load up on, Jameson Williams or whatever, unless you're a JMO guy. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions, but
I'm not a JMO guy
yeah.
personally. I'll pass
So
on
so
JMO.
then really what that means is, right, it kind of gives me some good parameters for 6 positions that you want through 8 rounds, right? And so then the part that I'm working on right now is layering in the quarterbacks, the elite quarterbacks and the elite tight ends. And because there's the one group we talked about with the Allen, Hurts, Kelsey, and Laporta. That group kind of fits well on this side of the board. And then the second group would be like the Pitts and Kittle, and then like the Anthony Richardson and like CJ Stroud kind of like that works pretty well on this side of the board. Especially because you can get Nico Collins and Tank Dell on that side of the board. And so Stroud is like a pretty good click over here. And I guess Steph Diggs for that matter. He's kind of like one of those guys that floats around a little bit depending on the
Oh shit,
draft.
we're on the clock. I didn't even.
Oh yeah, shit.
I want to star up Janu just so we have something, but then Malcolm Corley's still here if we want to get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
would
it.
go Corley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
feels
get
like a
the week
slam dunk.
17. And then I don't hate the Janu. Is
Chig
Chig
went.
still?
Chig
Oh,
went.
Chig went already. Yeah, that's
CLN
fine.
did it to us.
Because I think we don't need any more running backs. I think we're pretty good there. We have like
Yeah,
3 contingent guys and
we
2
need at least
decent
one
guys.
more tight end. I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
go 3 tight ends with the rookie Brock Bowers. I could go
I
either way.
usually like to go 3 tight ends here. Um, I really like Jonnu, if he falls. It's kind of stupid how easy it is to click Jawan Johnson now, but I've been taking a lot of him.
That's another thing that listening to the ETR guys, they were saying that he's a do not draft at this point. And I've been drafting for a while. I was not drafting Jono at all. I've been drafting him again and listening to that pod, and they're just like, yeah, it's never good, if a guy's coming in with an injury. And it did kind of give me pause. Like, yeah, he was already like a 15th, 16th round pick, and now he's got an injury coming in. And it did kind of make me think, I was like, they do kind of have a point. Like, what is the upside scenario? Guy that was going in the 15th round, and now he's coming in with an injury. So I go back and
Yeah.
forth on what I want to do with Jawan Johnson. But I'm with you.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it
Round.
makes sense. I mean, I guess the thing I keep leaning on is they said he's going to be healthy most likely by the start of the season
Oh,
or
did
start
they?
of camp or something.
Okay.
I
Didn't
think it was
listen
start
to
of the season, right?
not camp. Yeah, I think maybe start of the season. I
Yeah.
guess I was under the impression he was going to miss at least a couple weeks, but maybe that is wrong.
I think the official thing said they're optimistic he's going to be good by the beginning of the season, right?
Nice.
And then I always just fall back to like he was the top tight end scored week 17 last year, so
Right.
can't discount that, right?
And who are we to say things aren't going to repeat exactly how they went last year?
Yeah. So let's look at our can we look at our wide receiver room real quick? I just want to
Yep.
see if it makes
I
sense
read
to take a Tyler Boyd like sleeper pick, and by sleeper I mean like not exciting pick, or if it makes sense to take a
who was
fourth or
I was
third
talking
tight
to.
end.
I believe it was Gretch when he was on. He was saying that he's still sort of into Traylon Burks. Which I've been completely out on Traylon Burks. I don't know if it was Gretch, but yeah, somebody was like, he's still an exciting young receiver. To me, it was like as soon as I heard that they were like, oh, learn special teams, buddy, I was like, all right, I'm out on
Yeah,
this guy. I'm not drafting this guy anymore.
yeah. I think that's a pretty clear, pretty clear stay away when the coach says, yeah, he's gonna have to make an impact on special teams if he wants to play on Sundays.
Yeah. Um.
I think
So we.
Boyd. So like, I Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I asked you a question and you
Oh,
never did it.
yeah. I'll just read off. We have Waddle, Evans, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Rasheed Rice, Curtis Samuel, Malachi Corley. So 7 receivers right now.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a pretty good room to take a Tyler Boyd if we were gonna do it, right? We've got some boom guys there, in my opinion.
Did he
Um,
might have gone
oh, is
already?
he gone already? Dang.
Wait.
He's usually like 205 ADP. So yeah, he might be
Yeah, it looks like
gone.
he's gone already.
Okay, well, there goes that.
I bet it was CLN again. Son of a bitch. Now he went a while ago, looks like.
Oh yeah, wow. Geez, 180?
Okay,
That's
181.
seems ridiculous.
Well, this
This
guy
guy's
started with
loading up on.
no receivers. So we went no receivers
Yeah.
through
Wow.
damn.
Yeah.
He didn't take a single receiver until round 10. Um
I'm just gonna let him know the Sims are saying that's not looking pretty good.
have you run the Sims for no receivers through 10 rounds?
No, but no receivers through 4 rounds was, the shittiest score out of 210 combinations, so I would assume no receivers through 10, it will be
Yeah,
pretty tough
seems a
too.
little rough.
So maybe 3rd tight end. Oh, sorry, so I keep not tying the bow on this conversation. So that's the next thing that I'm gonna do right now. So I've basically said, okay, I know 6 things, like, this is pretty clearly telling me 6 things that I need to do through 8 rounds, and so I'm really trying to play around with what to do, like, where to fit in the QB, where to fit in the tight end, and then the other thing that I'm gonna do, which I've been really, like, wrestling around with thinking that it's the right way to do it, is a 3rd QB or a 3rd tight end instead of, like, the 8th receiver or the 6th running back or whatever, and mostly I think it's gonna make sense on the QB, because I just think that extra boost of correlation and the extra potential, like, upside out makes a lot of sense. But anyways, that's kind of like the next step is I'm gonna layer in like the 4th round QBs. How do they score? How do the 6th round QBs score? How did like the 10th round QBs score?
How do
And
you feel about
then
Dawson Knox here before we tie it up? Do you like Dawson Knox as a 18th round pick with Josh Allen, or do you want to go to a different one? I like Tavian Sanders also.
yeah, I
What do
like Knox. I think Knox is fine. I actually don't have a lot of Knox, mostly because I don't have a lot of Allen, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I probably need to change that around a little bit. I was hammering Allen early. Um, and like it's funny because I did a bunch of like schnauzers or like whatever the equivalent of that while I was getting my feet wet earlier in the season, and I was just hammering Allen, and then like I've kind of like resorted some things, and that's where I've done most of my BBM. So like you look at my like it's funny I have a few of these where like you look at the exposures and I've got like a ton drafted, but then like very low dollar amount for them. And
Right.
it's like, damn, I probably should like try to figure this out a little bit.
All right. I will read off our team. If anybody else wants their team read off, let us know. I don't think we got too many people in here. I know CLN isn't here, but if you want us to take a look at your team, let us know now. I'll start with ours. We go Josh Allen, Will Levis at quarterback. At running back, we have Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis. At wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashee Rice, Curtis Samuel, Malachi Corley. At tight end, Brock Bowers, Jonnu Smith, Dawson Knox. So we have the double stack with Josh Allen with Curtis Samuel and Dawson Knox. Malachi Corley, bring back on that one. And then we have Will Levis. And that was just a single stack, no other correlation
Yeah, we
on
didn't get
that
a
team.
bring back with Levis, but what else did we get? We got Johnny Smith and Jerome Ford, right? That works as something.
We do. Yep. We have Jonnu and Jerome Ford and Jalen Waddle.
Oh yeah, and Waddle.
Um,
That's kind of a fun one.
we have the Lloyd and Ty
Oh
Chandler,
yeah, that
Green Bay,
one if it
Minnesota thing.
matters.
Yeah. We got. Do we have any Seattle? We got Keenan Allen with no Seattle. Okay, yeah. I usually have at least one Seattle, but no, not on this team.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
no,
like
no.
this draft. I feel like when you can, I mean, let's think about it. How often is Josh Allen and Christian McCaffrey going to be on the same team? Probably like
Not that often,
not at all.
unless you
So
reach
like,
and take Josh Allen at 25 or something.
yeah, I guess if you take, yeah, exactly. If you take about the turn, but like that's probably not happening a lot. So that seems like a pretty sweet outcome.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm liking this team. Yeah, getting McCaffrey at the 3. That's a good point. Also,
Yeah.
Het says that he's in the 1 hole. We'll take a look at Het's team. So he goes CeeDee Lamb 101. Ends up with Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy at quarterback. At running back, he has Kenneth Walker, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson, Eli Mitchell, Khalil Herbert, Will Shipley. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Debo Samuel, Malik Neighbors, JSN, Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, Luke McCaffrey, Darius Slayton, tight end, Trey McBride, and Dallas Goddard. So he's got the Jalen Hurts with Dallas Goddard, just Dallas Goddard, but then he has the bring back of CeeDee Lamb, and then he has Brock Purdy with Eli Mitchell and Debo Samuel and Ricky Pearsall. Does he have any Detroit? No Detroit. So he's got the Philly game stack, and he's got double stack, triple stack with San Francisco. Obviously, strong quarterbacks. Man, Jalen Hurts been falling. I have yet to be able to do the. I've been trying to do CeeDee Lamb with Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts. I have yet to be
Yeah.
able to do it, but I was watching Davis Maddox stream earlier. He kept on getting Jalen Hurts to come to him around this pick.
Yeah.
Hopefully, one of these
Yeah.
days I will land that dream triple. But
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I think I basically put Allen and Hertz like right at the beginning around 4, and I try to just grab them as much as possible. Because like that seems like a pretty good tier break for me, like that Tank Dell, like Zay Flowers kind of crew at wide
mhm.
receiver, and then after that it drops off a little bit, and so I really like to get that there. And I mean, I don't know. It just it doesn't make a lot of sense that those guys go so late to me.
So my thing is, I usually like, even if Jalen Hurts is there at 46, if I don't have an Eagles player, I'm probably not taking him because then you're kind of I feel like I'm forced to reach for Dallas Goddard to make sure I have somebody on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay to just have naked Hurts? Like I'm always trying to stack my quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong though for just not, obviously there is a point where it's like at this point you just like if it's pick 100, yeah, you got to take Jalen Hurts regardless. But I don't know
Hmm.
what that
Hmm.
point is. For me it's I don't know. I don't know if it's later than 48. Probably right around there. Right around 48 is where I would consider it.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what else you did in round. Like, what is your AJ Brown equivalent pick, right? And so, like in this case where we have a McCaffrey, right? Like, I wouldn't love that, right? But if you're on, if you have like the Amon Ra, right, or you've got Justin Jefferson or something, like I feel like that's totally fine, right? Because like from a it's probably not optimal to not have the AJ Brown with Jalen Hurts, right? Like if you were to pick, you'd probably want that, but
Sure.
if you couldn't get that, then you'd want to have another receiver who you could think could outscore him, right? And like
Right.
I mean, obviously slightly anecdotal, but I was just thinking back to the puppy team that I had where I had Lamar
Slow puppy
and
champion
then
for those who don't know.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't want to come out right and say it. Thanks for tooting my horn. But I just had Lamar and Bateman, right? And like I don't know, Bateman didn't really do anything. Lamar did great. But
Yeah.
then I got kind of bailed out there because I had CD and Amon Ra, who obviously was a pretty solid combo there in the
Yeah.
last week. But like that kind of thing, right? I think that's like a good one to think there.
Yeah, for sure that is. Braden says Hurts with Saquon. To me, they seem like they would be on an individual game basis pretty negatively correlated because Hurts doesn't
Yeah.
really target
Yeah.
the running back, and they're going to be vulturing touchdowns from each other. So I don't
Yeah.
love that pairing. Still maybe better than nothing because they have like season long. I guess they're probably positively correlated. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think that's great.
Het did point out that he also does have Will Shipley with his Jalen Hurts. So he's got a lot of nice correlations on the team. Looks like a good team to me. Obviously, very strong at tight end, very strong at quarterback.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, he goes 3 wide receivers. Yeah, looks like a pretty damn strong team to me. I don't think we had anybody else in the draft with us who wanted us to take a look at their teams. We have, by the way, I feel like when you show up on the streams, we have more people from the underdog community. Like the names I see, G for Gumby here doesn't always show up.
Nice.
Copper Prices is here. We got tons of people who we had. Easy doesn't always show up, so it's fun to see all these the like
Nice.
underdog community people showing up for this stream, and a lot of them are just here to troll you too. A lot of them are just trolling you all the
Exactly,
time.
exactly.
Tell me, ask John how
Everybody's just
long it takes to load his spreadsheet. Just
yeah,
everybody wants to troll John.
it's great. It's
Um,
great. I like it.
all right, CLN says that he is here, so I'm going to think that is he wants to take a look at his team. I know it's bad because he sniped us on Chig. No, it's
I
just
was gonna
kidding.
second Copper Price's comment here to have easy on.
Oh, I'd love to have Easy on. Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about reaching out to Easy. Yeah, because I always love having like data guys on the stream. Since I don't do any hard looks at data myself, I'm always just reading other people's data or listening to other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
talk about their data. So I love to be able to ask the questions. I will say tonight, I feel I'm super tired. I've been like trying to wake up earlier, but I've been struggling to sleep for like the past 5 days. So I feel like I am not in a good like mental state to be asking you questions. So if other people want to ask John questions about
yeah.
his Sims, you are probably sharper than I am right now. I'd love to, if you have questions, let us know. But first, I'm going to read this team from CLN. He has CJ Stroud and Derek Carr at quarterback. Running back, he's got Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Zach Charbonnet, Tyler Algier. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen Tolbert, A.T. Perry. At tight end, Dave Njoku, Hunter Henry. And then he just had to go and snipe us. 10 spots at ADP. Third tight end takes Chigakonkwo. You're killing me here. He has C.J. Stroud with Tank Dell.
Zay Flowers bring back.
Zay Flowers bring back. So that looks good. He's got Derek Carr with Rashid Shaheed and
Shaheed
A.T.
and Perry.
Perry. And then I always forget who the Saints are playing in week 17.
Raiders.
Raiders. Okay. Does he have any Raiders? No Raiders. So he's got the Houston game stack for week 17, and then he's just got a double stack there for Derek Carr. Quarterbacks look good enough to me. Obviously, he's got Stroud. Stroud falls to 82. Man, 16 picks past ADP there for CJ Stroud. You got to feel good about that. Running back room
I
looks
think
good.
I think that's where he should be being
I
drafted.
mean, true,
To be
but
honest,
like still
you know.
to get him there still
Yeah,
feels
no,
good.
no,
Like to get him
yeah,
where he should be going.
yeah, yeah. I
That
feel
is,
like I feel like he's a guy that's going to keep falling.
I think so too. Like every piece of content you listen to or read is like he's going too early.
Yeah. One of the things I'll shout this out while we're chatting here that I put together for my on my blog was I started looking at this thing that I'm just calling ADP velocity, and so what I and I've only done it maybe like 2 weeks now, but I'm gonna try to mostly because there's not that much shit that's going on right now, but once things start popping off, I think it'll be a little bit useful. But basically, what I'm looking at is like every day I chart the ADPs of all the players, and then I'm kind of like comparing kind of like the slope of the ADPs, if that makes sense. Compared to like like the ADP delta over like 2 weeks versus like the change in ADP over the last like week, I guess,
Right.
right? So what it can kind of tell me and what I've been trying to get out on Twitter and get out on the Substack is like a couple different categories, right? Is like either a player is kind of like topped out where he's risen, but then he's kind of like settled in, or a player that's still rising, or a player that's still falling, or a player that's like bottomed out. And that's actually been so like I don't tweet it out all the time. I think I've only tweeted out twice. I want to try to do it like weekly. But I obviously, because I update it every day, I just look at the categories. And that has been like super beneficial tool, I think, for me. Because just to kind of like keep giving that little context in your brain, of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like I've seen that guy going up. Oh yeah, it looks like he's still rising. Or yeah, like, and I'm still in the phase where I'm like, okay, is this true? Like, so I'll just go check. Like, it's okay. It says he's topped out. Let me go make sure. Like, it actually looks like he's topped out. Then I'll look at the last 3 days. And like, oh yeah, sure enough, he like pretty much did stall out here, right? And so I'm just kind of like back checking my little formulas. But I think that's going to be a pretty good pretty good tool to have like once things really start moving and shaking here. Once training camp start is like, should you be pushing? And so I think like the Stroud case kind of thought me or made me think about that one, right? Because I feel like you can kind of push Stroud quite a bit. And so, playing both sides of that, right? If like a guy is on the rise, it's like, okay, let me try to like, get ahead of that. Same thing if a guy's falling, it's like, okay, well, let me try to wait a little bit, because I know he's fallen. So yeah, that's good stuff to have.
Absolutely. Is this a tool that you were going to release to the public, or are you just going to keep it for yourself and maybe share some of the data when you feel like it?
Yeah, I think I'll probably just tweet it out like a little bit more regularly, and
Have
probably
you
put it on.
the newsletter?
Go ahead.
Have you
What's that?
included
I
that in
did
your
a
newsletter? I was thinking that I
Yeah,
maybe
I
saw it
did like
there.
an intro. I did kind of like an intro explainer of like whatever that week's data was and like what they all are. I feel like it's a little bit boring as a like regular newsletter, so I just throw it on Twitter. But maybe people like the news too, so I'm still figuring my groove here. But
Cool.
probably do one or the other. I just feel like it's kind of the boring time right now. It's not super important to be looking at this stuff because everything's kind of stale. But probably once training
Yeah.
camps get ramping up here, I'll probably try to pepper some stuff more into the newsletter.
Yeah, that'll be super interesting after training camp starts because we will have some quick moves at that point. We are going to hop into a second draft here. John, are you still up for doing another draft? I guess I should
Yeah,
check in.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So if you want to get in, I'm getting in now. All right, this one we should potentially have more people from the room with us. The last one filled like right when I entered.
Yeah. So this is you're through 72
Yeah, it's whatever.
or
Yeah, I
70s or
believe
something.
this is. I believe this
I
is
think that
number
was on it.
72 here. Yep, I
Nice.
updated it today. We got a lot
Yeah,
of familiar names here
yeah, we do.
in this draft with us. GPNGC Andrew is in the draft with us. Het in here. G for Gumby. I think I might know Kev. Obviously Nez from the
Nez.
Badge Bros. Um, and then D. Lutomsky are all people that I know. And then there's others that I feel like I might know. DJ, I don't know. If you are in the draft with us, let us know. If you are listening to the stream, there's always some names that I just like, no matter how many times I read it and somebody tells me that's me, I always forget because it's just not a name that like sticks in my brain. So if you are drafting with us, let us know. G for Gummy. If my draft goes off the rails, I definitely fell asleep. Not my fault. That's fair.
So I will say that I am like the most psychopathic drafter, I think, when it comes to how I do things because I'm 100% a phone guy, like literally
Me too.
99.9% drafting on phone. I hardly ever draft on the computer, and then I like know every week 17 correlation by heart, but I am not very good at like thinking about it while I'm drafting, and so I'm a big star guy. And so like as soon as I draft a guy, I star all their week 17 people, and just so I like see the star and it like reminds me of like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. So it's funny, like I feel like I had to pause you there at like round 13 to be like, okay, what the fuck are we doing to this draft? Like,
Right, right.
let's make sure I'm not used to going blind here. What are we
Yeah.
how are we gonna land it?
Me too. I'm usually hyper focused on my draft whenever I'm drafting. Like I don't multi-table generally, so I'm always like on top of it. Like I know what I want for the next pick. Do we go Jameer Gibbs here? Since I know you like the running backs in the second half.
No, I'm sorry. We got to go Wilson.
Okay.
I would like to I would love to do the do the theory, but I've got Garrett Wilson like potentially wide receiver 5.
Okay. And I only have 5%,
Not
so I need to up my exposure there.
Yeah, I think so I used to write. Oh, I think we're probably going to be on the clock here.
I
Oh, now
mean,
we can go
now,
Gibbs. Perfect.
yeah, we get them both. Beautiful.
That's easy. So I used to write this thing, and maybe I'll do it again, but I called it like the workload report during the season, and it looked at like usage metrics, it looked at like kind of like air yard and like that kind of stuff, and then it looked at like fantasy production, and like I've literally been writing it for 2 years, and the guy that, like, I've probably written about, like, 12 times over the last 2 years has been Garrett Wilson, and, like,
Yeah.
it's just, like, a constant, like, he's at the top of all these metrics, and, like, if only he didn't have Zach Wilson throw it to, or
Right.
if only whatever, like, it's literally, like, my motto with this thing is, like, "Holy shit, look how good Garrett Wilson is, if only he had a quarterback," right? So, like, I feel like I don't know. Maybe he's just does whatever he does, and he's a top 10 wide receiver, and it's anything. But I just feel like you have those chances, like not that much in your life, where it's like I have conviction on this guy. I've had conviction on this guy for a while. Like, why not? Like, let me just take a stand on him. Try to get overweight on him. I know, like, I won't be that bummed if it fizzles out. I know I'll be super bummed if like I have 9% Garrett Wilson and he goes off this year,
Yeah.
So it's like let's just take a stand.
Yep, just like the I can't remember if it was Davis. Somebody alluded to the meme of the guy who's going mining and he stops
Yeah.
just a little bit too short. Yeah, that would feel pretty brutal to stop drafting your guy the year that he does finally
Yeah.
go off. I've had that. I did I think my first year playing best ball, I don't remember what year it was, but it was CEH's rookie year. And CEH was like a
Yeah.
first round pick. And I was not taking CEH, but I was taking a lot of Daryl Williams. It was the year that
Yeah.
Damian Williams is out. Daryl Williams is like the clear RB2.
Hmm.
And I was
Hmm.
like, what if the rookie's just not that good? Like this offense is going to be so good. Daryl Williams was actually good last year. And then he did absolutely nothing that year. And then I didn't draft him the following year. And he had several spike weeks the following year. At least is how I remember
Yeah.
it. He was much better at the very least. So that was I mean I've done that several times,
Yeah. 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 Do
but
you
not this
do
year.
you I mean, I know you're a big DFS guy. Are you a season long or dynasty guy or anything like that, or nothing too crazy?
No, not dynasty. Yeah, season long is how I started everything. I've been playing season long
Yeah.
forever. I love it. I still, DFS sort of like some of my teams. I don't pay that close of attention to. I do have it's an unlimited keeper league with some of my
Oh.
friends here. So it's not dynasty. You can drop however many players you want, but like if you cut
Mhm.
your team down to 3, then your first pick is going to be in the 4th round for the season,
Mhm.
whatever. So everybody starts at a different point. It's super fun. I love that team. It is. I now like I basically I think 2 of the past 3 years I have dominated the scoring for the regular season. Just like I way outscore everybody else, and then like lose in the first round of the playoffs. It just like every year
Yeah.
it fucking works out where it just like get knocked out right away in the playoffs. But that is definitely my number one league. I don't do I joined the Stochastic Dynasty League last year, which I'm obviously not going to be doing this year since I'm no longer with Stochastic. So that was my first Dynasty League ever. So yeah, not a ton of Dynasty. Are you a Dynasty guy?
Not really. I have a couple teams, and I feel like I like the dynasty aspect more than the season long, just because you at least get to kind of trail it through. But I don't know, man. I I could like
Do
after.
you like let's make our pick. Sam Laporta, we do have Jameer Gibbs. If we want to do that correlation, we could go any number of ways. Just go for a receiver. Do you have a preference here?
Yeah.
Oh, and this is by ADP.
Yeah, I think we just go Laporta.
All right, double it up. Detroit.
Yeah. We don't
Sorry.
love it, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
I teed you up for a question, and then it was immediately our turn. So let's make one more pick,
Yeah,
and then we
yeah,
can
yeah.
go back to talking.
What do you have? Let's see. Who do you like between Higgins, Pickens, Cooper?
Um, Higgins
Looks
is
like
my
you like
favorite
none of
of the
them. Oh,
group. No, I have
Higgins.
9% Higgins. I have 2.5% Pickens, which I have more now of Pickens. I have been
Yeah,
drafting him a
yeah.
little bit more this week. I do have he was actually pretty efficient last year. I have some hope for Pickens, so I am trying to increase my exposure there. I have 8% Cooper, so just under the field, and I have 18% Christian Kirk. Pittman also is falling into the fourth round here. I'd rarely take Pittman. I'd be fine with
I
any of them
know.
though.
Let's take
Pickens,
Pittman, and then we'll try to get
Pittman.
Richardson when he comes back. Let's do
That's true.
that.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'm a big Anthony Richardson diehard. I've been coming around to Jaden Daniels being this year's Anthony Richardson, so I've been trying to draft a lot of Jaden Daniels.
I'm on that bandwagon.
But yeah, yeah. So like I feel like I mean I've always loved fantasy football, but then I I did and you know season long stuff, whatever, just work leagues or buddy leagues or whatever, and then get into dynasty in earnest a couple years ago. Like that was fun. I had like a streak where I did like 4 or 5 like dynasty startups, and like that was a cool phase. And then like just getting into best ball, it's like all right, well this trumps everything. It's just so much better. It's like I literally like it's literally everything you like, and you don't have to do any of the bullshit during the season. Like you don't have to manage anything. Like because I'm like just like you. Like I well not really just like you, but because I don't do quite the volume as you, but I am a pretty big DFS guy. During the season, right? And so like the best ball scratches the itch during the summer. The DFS stuff scratches the itch during the week. Like I'm the
Yeah.
kind of guy who's like, oh shit, waivers ran last night. Let me see if there's anybody open that I can grab. Like I
Yeah.
just forget about all that stuff, and it's like you just get in such of the grind. I feel like the weekly DFS grind, I call it the grind, but like the routine, like for NFL is one of the most fun like things
I
to
love
do.
it.
Like it's just like
Yeah.
it's just like a routine, and it's just like I don't know. It's almost just like it like makes me like feel like I'm happy. It's like all right,
Yeah.
cool. Like Monday night showdown. Like let's do this. Start the week. Start thinking about random stuff. Like start listening to some shows. Start locking in. Run some spreadsheets. Like oh, it's such a great pace. Like you don't have to. You don't have to keep up with it on a nightly basis. Like it's all revolves around every Sunday. Like I feel like even if it's just casually, I'm just gonna be doing the Sunday DFS for like ever.
It's so like having the showdown, just like every slate. It's like, oh, now I'm looking forward to the next slate immediately. It was I think it was more fun when I was playing more volume. These days I'm not gonna be
Mhm.
playing. I'm not gonna be maxing it out this year. I wasn't last
Yeah,
year either. It was more fun like a
yeah,
few years ago when it was like I was 150 maxing every showdown, and I always felt like I had a chance. Like I had so many
yeah,
sweats throughout the year that it
yeah,
was like it was so exciting every slate. Just like doing the research, the game starts, and it's like no better feeling than like okay, I've got my guy. I have so much exposure to, Donald Parham or like I'm trying to think of
yeah,
who the
yeah, yeah.
Khalif Raymond, that like the random guys. And just like man, if he scores a touchdown, I'm gonna be lit here. It's so much fun. It's still fun when you have
Yeah.
lower volume. But like last year, I got crushed in Showdown last year, so that made it a
Really?
lot less
Yeah,
fun in react. Like it was still I got excited about every week, or every slate, but it did admittedly become more work for me this past year. Just like I
yeah.
was doing so much Showdown content for every Showdown slate, and then for the main slate, I was doing 3-4 shows a week. So it did get to a point where it was, you know, war on me a little bit, but still just super fun. You want to go Anthony Richardson here?
Yeah, might as well snag him.
Get past ADP, yeah. We've already got a tight end, elite tight end. We're only at 2 wide receivers through 5 rounds.
Yeah,
But
so who's left besides Rome here?
I'll sort by ADP. Rome, Addison. I've reached for Lad here. Fine taking Rashi Rice, Hopkins.
Yeah, I think I would be Rome or D-Hop again. I
Yeah,
can't quit D-Hop, man. I like number one, it just doesn't make sense that he's behind Calvin Ridley. Like,
No, doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
Um,
I've been taking a lot of him, and then I cooled off. It's funny because I was hammering
he does
Will
have the
Levis.
week 5 bye is my only if we're gonna do Detroit, which I guess we don't have to go Goff. Screw it. We don't have any receivers for week 5 yet anyway, so we'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
one or the other.
I
Yeah,
think we're
not a
good.
concern.
Yeah, yeah. I was because I was hammering Levis quite a bit when he was like in the 190s, and then it's funny because I probably should update my rankings a little bit more, but like I kind of like tear off my rankings and then I try to sort them by like my exposures just so I kind of try to randomize things a little bit. But I had dropped Levis a little bit because I was like, fuck, like I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be like way over my skis on this guy. And then since then he's like rocketed up like 20 spots and he's in like the 170s. And so now I like just like never see him in my queue and I'm like, all right, I need to like go back in and change things around so I can keep getting Levis again because I really want to have an overweight position on the Titans.
Yeah, it's such a fun team. I don't have much of the Titans in general.
Really?
Um, I will say looking at the offensive line rankings, which I care mostly about it for running backs, but still matters a little bit,
Yeah.
or it still matters significantly for receivers. Also, Titans. Just looking at the rankings, 25, 24, and 9. So a big discrepancy in how people are
Cool.
viewing the Titans' offensive line. Sort of interesting.
Who was 9? Was it Thorne?
That was Mike Clay. No,
Oh,
Thorne has
Clay.
him at 24, 25. Let's see.
Mm.
Yeah, Thorne
Oh,
has the Titans at 25.
hmm.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I was looking at it for like I was noticing that Pittsburgh looks really bad in the wait, where are the Steelers? In the fantasy points ranking, they had Pittsburgh 26, which I'm like, damn, I take a lot of Jalen Warren. I take
Yeah.
a good bit of Najee Harris, it feels like too, but in the Thorn rankings, they're at 15th. In Clay, they are 22nd. So
Yeah.
not quite as bad.
Who have you been going Najee or Warren more?
More Warren. I generally, if they're both available, I think I'll usually go Najee just because he has the earlier
Yeah.
ADP and just want to I don't want to have like 30% Warren and 0% Najee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely more Jalen Warren.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like that's almost like part of I feel like the Najee Harris test this year is like how sharp you are as a DFS or as a best ball player, right? It's
This is
like
identity
if you
politics.
yeah, exactly. It's like I literally think I maybe drafted Najee Harris like twice last year, right? Like in round 4, right? But like I'm just hammering him in round 9 or whatever he's in right now, right? And like
Yeah,
if you can like release yourself from that bias, right? And you could like understand the difference there and like not be, anchored to whatever your past take was.
yeah.
I feel if I know about if I know what your Najee exposure was last year and I know what your Najee exposure is this year, I'm gonna tell you if you're like a sharp baseball player or not.
Right. Wait, so how much do you have of each this year?
To be honest, I haven't really looked. I could probably
Okay.
check. I'm trying to get pretty even on them.
Yeah, I guess
Let's see.
I have a lot. I have 12% Najee and 17% Warren.
Okay, yeah, that's seems about what I would want to be. Let's see here.
Oh shit, we are on the clock. Didn't even realize it. Um, so by ADP, it would be Kamara. We could go Warren here. Najee went off the board already. Zamir White.
Um, let's toss Zamir White in here. I kind of like that action.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of Zamir White, and some of the recent reports have been very good. They seem to like him.
Yeah, it looks like I'm 14% Warren, 9% Najee. But I know I also have like 100 slows going right now, and I've been taking a lot of Najee, so I think that number should be jumping up.
I only have 1% Alvin Kamara. um, he is the top by ADP right now. Could go that
Yeah,
route.
I don't know about that. What are we looking at for receiver?
Not much. Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Lockett. We could
It's
reach
kind
for
of like Curtis Samuel again. I'm like this is an underweight position I have, but I think I'm gonna adjust my rankings tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to get pretty big on Curtis Samuel. I don't know if do you follow Coach Speak Index?
Oh yeah, love
Yeah,
Coach
I
Speak
love
Index.
that. I love that account. That would be a fun guy to try to get on the show.
It's a
If you
good
haven't
call.
already, because I didn't
I have not.
realize like he's a best ball grinder. Like he is like
Yeah,
in the streets,
no, I like Greg.
for
I've
sure.
watched several of his shows. He started a podcast recently too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he just
he
started,
might be
and it's actually been
down to chat.
pretty. Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting podcast to listen to. I've been listening to it. But yeah, the Keon Coleman thing he posted the other day, where their coaching staff has just pretty much not ever said anything positive about him, and he's still going in the sixth
Yeah,
round or whatever. It's like, what are we doing here? Like
yeah,
he might
does not
actually be
sound
the
that great.
fourth wide receiver on the team.
I've been pretty out on Keon Coleman. I was listening to
Right.
Chess Liam was on Davis Maddox stream today, and he thinks that we're overblowing the negativity. But he made a good point, but I feel like he was missing some of the quote there. I don't know. I have some concerns about the pass blocking, but he made a point, sold me on it a little bit, that maybe we are overblowing the negativity of the actual quote from the coaches. But I have not been drafting much Keon Coleman just because it feels like he could be like legit like a zero or not a zero likely, but because he was drafted pretty early, but like the floor feels pretty
Yeah.
low there. Nez points out Stroud snipe. He got sniped on Stroud.
Mm,
Nez pushed him. Nez has both Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs.
wow.
Pushes him to trying to get him at wait, where was this? Oh, was that tried to get him at 80. Stroud goes at 79. That's rough.
So let's look at our team. I feel like we need to strategize here a little bit. So we've got
No, we're good. We're
QB.
good. We don't need to strategize.
Yeah,
We
we're
have
good.
Anthony Richardson at quarterback. We have Zamir White and Jameer Gibbs. I read that reverse. We have Jameer Gibbs and Zamir White at running back. At wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Hopkins, Curtis Samuel. At tight end, we have Sam Laporta. I guess we could have gone JMO with that last pick. I assume he was available, but I'm so out on JMO that I didn't even cross
Yeah.
my mind.
What's your take on Rodgers?
On Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, he was as Scott Barrett has pointed out, he was very good the last healthy season that he had. Now it's been a few years and he's over 40 now, so it's not a guarantee that he will be good this year because he was really good the last time he was healthy. Um, I don't have a strong stand on Rodgers. Actually, I think I don't have a ton of Rodgers. Probably something I should fix. I feel like I have been out on Garrett Wilson, and then every sharp person I talk to is like, I love Garrett Wilson where he's going in draft. So I'm like, all right,
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
probably need to adjust a bit on
That
my
makes
Garrett
sense. Yeah.
Wilson because he was pretty good with Zach Wilson. Like even with Zach Wilson, he was just being fed the ball, as you said. Like he's had the volume. So you have to assume that he's going to be much better with a real NFL quarterback. So yeah, I think Rodgers is pretty damn good where he goes. How do you feel about Rodgers?
Yeah, I think he's my highest drafted quarterback, so I'm
Actually,
pretty
I could have
bummed out
guessed.
here.
I asked the question knowing the answer because we already talked about how much you love Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of Rodgers. I just feel like I don't know, maybe it's probably a little bit of a bias of being an old Packers fan, but
Sure.
it just seems like he's still got it in the tank, and
Yeah.
nobody thinks he does.
All right. So ADP right now, and we could go Shakir, go double Buffalo receiver if we wanted to. That would be
Mm,
3 week 12. We do have the correlation with Wilson there.
kind of like Tajay Spears to really. I mean, I don't know how Titans pilled you are, but if we get Tajay Spears here, then we're probably looking at another Levis action.
I'm less Titans pilled than you are, but I do like
Yeah,
it's a fun stack if nothing else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we probably need a receiver here. So what else do we got going on besides Shakir?
Shakir,
Mm,
Adnan Mitchell. I have very little. Oh, we could throw him onto the stack. Why did I forget that we
yeah,
had
we could. So what's our next pick after this? It's like is it gonna be near 130?
131? So it would be a risk if you want to go to Josh Downs.
So we
Um,
could do Mike Williams
I
and
never
then
go Mike Williams either, by the way.
Oh, all right. We're doing Mike Williams then.
All
I'm
right, all
I'm a
right,
big Mike Williams guy.
all right, fine.
So now we got
Um,
the Rogers double, we got the Levis double, and then we still can pull off a Rich double with Downs next
yeah,
round.
and we definitely don't need a double with a Rich. I mean, yeah, yeah. Mike Williams, I have. I guess I can't see it anymore. I think I have sub 2% Mike Williams. So good to get my
Yeah,
exposure
yeah,
with
yeah,
you on the stream.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. So it's funny. You assume that I had a lot of Rodgers because of Garrett Wilson, but I actually have a lot of Rodgers because of Mike Williams. Is really what it boils down to.
You just
Is
love the Jets. You're a Jets guy.
like yeah. I don't know. Like my right now, my like fallback when everything goes to shit is Xavier Legette and Bryce Young. That's who I've been like really leaning on. Those two guys, which feels really stupid saying that out loud, but I feel like
I'm
it's a pretty
Broncos pilled,
fun.
which Broncos definitely a
Yeah,
lot smarter. I feel a lot smarter saying that. Taking Bo
yeah,
Nix.
yeah. Broncos are good too. I take a lot of Franklin and Knicks. But I've been taking a lot of Leggett because I feel like he got a lot of hype from the coaching staff, like right after they drafted him. And I'm a big Canales guy. Like I think he's just going to be able to turn the Panthers around a little bit, or at least make at least make Bryce Young competent. And so if Bryce Young's competent, like he probably shouldn't be going in the 190s. But so anyways, I'll probably get off that eventually. But before I was doing the Leggett Bryce Young pull ripcord in case of emergency, I was doing the Mike Williams Aaron Rodgers pull ripcord in case of emergency. So that's why I have a ton of both of those guys.
Nice. Yeah, no, I have not been there with you at all on. I'd be more inclined to take Malachi Corley and where he's going than Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Which is probably wrong. Like he's still obviously like an end zone threat. He's a big guy. He's had a great career. Just at this point, it feels like he's old, injury prone, all the things. It's like, man, that's scary. But he's got Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. Chip, I would not vote for Aaron Rodgers as vice president. Some
I
damning
was
allegations.
listening.
I have
I,
not read it, the damning allegations yet on RFK Jr., but I saw some rumblings on Twitter.
oh,
Wasn't going to
really?
vote for him anyway. I was never going to vote for RFK anyway, but
I was listening to somebody's pod, and they were double checking the Rogers or they were double checking when election week was and if that was
right.
like aligned
Smart.
with week 17 or 15 or something. Just making sure.
I mean, it's November. That can't be. That's not going to be aligned with the playoffs. I don't think. This is a good point. Bro, Aaron's in Egypt trying to figure out what the ancients knew. He's on a spiritual journey, and football ain't part of that. No, this is part of Aaron Rodgers' football journey. You clearly don't know Rodgers.
See, this is where my bias comes in because like I had my home league with my buddies was named after like ayahuasca a couple years ago
Nice.
in the spirit of Aaron Rodgers. So like I'm just gonna be on the Aaron Rodgers the Aaron Rodgers show no matter
Until he
what. Like
retires. He's going to be
yeah.
45, and you're going to be drafting him. That's actually
So
not
we
that
are
far
what
off.
we are
We're
looking
at pick
at
125. We are 131. Adnan Mitchell did fall all the way down to 124.
so we should be trying to get Downs here. I
Yeah.
think.
Yep. Goff goes. I guess we could have considered Goff with our next pick too. We do have the
Yeah.
double stack,
Sure.
but he goes.
Mm-hmm.
The same guy who sniped Nez just sniped us. Not really a snipe this far ahead, but does he have the No, he doesn't have any stacks. He's just taking who he wants when he wants.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh wait, I was on the wrong column. Oh, he does. He actually does.
Yeah.
No, wait. Now I'm all confused. Oh, the Goff guy is not the same guy. I was misreading my columns there. The Goff guy
There we
does
go.
have a double stack there, I think, with Amon Ra and JMO. Yeah.
What's your take on stopping at 5 running backs this year?
Depends on who they are. I usually probably stop it.
Downs
I
goes.
would guess 6 on average. Yeah, Downs goes. That's rough. We go Rico Dowdle. Here, I'll sort by ADP. Ford is there. Dontavian Wicks comes all the way back.
Oh, let's go Wicks. He's my highest owned player. It's so stupid.
I
I'm
have, yeah,
sorry. I'm
17%.
making you. I'm
No,
making you draft another Packer, but
oh yeah, that's true. That is a bit rude. No, Dontavian Wicks. I back in March, I told Sacrilegious that I was obsessed, or that I was addicted to drafting Dontavian Wicks. Following it was actually the Coach Speak Index that put me onto Dontavian Wicks.
yeah.
Um, you want to go Leggett here? Give us another backstacking option. We could go Kendra Miller.
Any other running backs? Who else besides Miller is here?
Oh, Marshawn Lloyd's still there too.
Hmm. Ooh, what about a little Nick Chubb?
Really?
You only have 4%. Come on.
I do only. I have five. I mean, 5%. We can round there. Fine. I'll do it. I'll do it
Alright,
for
alright,
you.
yeah. And that's a week 10. I feel like that looks pretty good. Gibbs, White, like Gibbs and White are gonna be the horses, right?
True.
And
Yeah.
then Spears. Like I feel like that's a good team to draft Chubb on.
Yeah. Yeah. We can risk it there with Chubb. We were not relying on him. True. Yeah, we're looking good. We have, so I'll read off the team. So we have 1-4-6-1 currently. Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Jameer Gibbs, Amir White, Tyjae Spears, Nick Chubb at running back, at wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Hopkins, Curtis Samuel, Mike Williams, Dontavian Wicks, tight end Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
So we're looking pretty good.
I think the like and I am not gonna try to sim this out or anything, but a 1-3-6-1 build through like what would that be, 11? That always feels really good to me, I feel like, in these drafts.
Yeah, I mean, just gives you so much optionality to do what you want. I mean, you need another quarterback, another tight end at that point, but yeah, it definitely feels at that point like you've got options. I'm with you. Oh man, Alex really. I didn't realize that he's serious. He thinks that Aaron Rodgers is not coming back from Egypt.
Mm.
If you,
Well,
I
that would be
mean,
good.
that would
That
be
would
good
that
for
would that
me.
wouldn't be great for me.
What do I? How much Aaron Rodgers do I have? I wonder. 1.8%. So I'm not
Oh,
this out.
baby.
This is not representative fully of my opinions. I actually think Aaron Rodgers is a perfectly good pick where he goes, but again, yeah, he
Yeah.
is probably somebody that I need to be working in more than I am currently. Um, I think he's just kind of in that range where I'm usually still hammering running back at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he drops quite a bit too because I feel like people are out on him, so I've been scooping him up later and later, but yeah, I feel like going back to the running back conversation, like, I think the thing that makes a lot of sense to me this year, and I've heard, like, Kerrane and Beimfohr talking about it a little bit, and, it sounds like Kerrane's, like, really honing in on it, but, just the whole 0 RB thing, but then not taking a lot of RBs, right? Like, that seems like it just makes a ton of sense this year, and, because typically, like, you're doing the 0 RB thing because you're trying to get the contingent value, right? You're trying to
Right.
draft 4 or 5 guys, that could, you know, in case of injury, go off, right?
Yeah.
But, like, this year, you're doing 0 RB and you're getting, like, 3 starters, and
Right.
it's
You're
like,
taking all the starting
okay,
running
I
backs
think
in
that's
9 through
probably
11.
okay. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. And so I feel like that's where, like, I do feel like the drafting landscape this year is going to lead to a lot of people making mistakes in drafts that are probably going to be relatively detrimental, right? Because I feel like,
Wait, we got to make our pick. Ooh, Marshawn Lloyd
oh,
comes
here we
all the
go.
way back to us. Out. I mean, we got to do it now, right? He's our
Yeah,
third week 10 by running back, which I hate, but still, just at this pick.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, we do have Aaron Rodgers there too. We've got the.
He should wrap around.
What do you have, D. Lutomsky? Yeah, I think we're good.
Did we take Mike Williams or?
We did. We have the double stack with Garrett
And
Wilson
Rogers
and Mike Williams.
is different buy. Does Rogers have a different buy than A
Yep,
Rich?
14 and 12.
Yeah, we're upping your Rogers exposure here, unless we get sniped.
I mean, it's still ahead of ADP, and he doesn't have anybody there. Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, here we go.
Happy to take Rodgers there. Happy to up the exposure. Again, he's like there. There are players that I'm like Pittman. We're up in my Pittman exposure. I don't have a lot of Pittman intentionally. I don't want to have a lot of
Yeah,
Pittman.
yeah, I
Rodgers, like
agree. I agree.
I don't feel like 2% is correct. Like I want to have.
Didn't we grab Curtis Samuel too?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, that works out great.
Yep. No, we're looking good. We're looking good. I'm liking this team. We don't have any Giants. We could easily add on a Giants player later on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep.
All right, we need
Running
one more
back
tight
room.
end.
Are we done, or do we need another one?
Maybe just to avoid just to get another non-week 10 bye, we could.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot of tens.
I
Oh,
don't
we
know
have
that we
10.
need
Yeah,
to, but yeah, we have 3 out of our 5, so we'll be
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
thin.
yeah.
We'll
That
have just
probably makes
Tyjae
sense.
and Gibbs. Counting
Yeah,
on health there.
we could throw in a Braylon Allen. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, I love me
Really
some
load up
Braylon
on our
Allen.
Jets.
Yeah,
Is he? Is he? They're week 12, I think, right?
they
Or are
are.
they
Yep.
week 5?
No, week 12.
Or they're 12. They're 12. They're 12. Yeah.
You've got your week 17s memorized. I've got my bye weeks.
So there you go. There you go.
I won't take Daniel Jones from you. Promise.
Who are some other guys like you're talking about where you have low exposure but you're trying to get more intentional about it? Do you know off the top?
Pickens would definitely be one that I'm trying to get more of. I actually think I'm pretty low on Levis. I don't have a ton of Levis. Um, I've been sort of trying to get just like a little bit more Calvin Ridley, but I don't actually know that I want that much more Calvin Ridley. Like I'm kind of okay with not having a ton of Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Actually, the Bills guys, like I don't have a ton of any of them, and I think that's sort of a mistake. I do want a little bit more Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, um, even Shakir. I think is fine where he goes. Like I don't love the pick, but like that's why I don't have like virtually any. So I'm trying to get more there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it. I guess Josh Downs is definitely. I don't think I have a ton of Josh Downs, and I definitely I like Josh Downs. I feel like I really need to be up in my exposure there. It's sort of been a blind spot for me where I was taking a ton of Wicks around where he goes. Now Wicks and
Right.
Josh Palmer were like my targets earlier, which I guess that's
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
out because they both moved up. So now, but now it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Josh Downs should be like he's kind of in that same tier for me. So I feel like I need to be. Um, I think it's partially just like I even though I really like I'm with you. Anthony Richardson is a great pick. I I struggle with because I'm not taking Pittman, I struggle with taking a quarterback before I have any of their pass catching options. And because I'm not taking Pittman, then I don't even think about taking Anthony Richardson because I'm like, well, I don't have any Colts. But then as a result, I
Yeah.
don't end up taking much AD Mitchell, Josh Downs. So I'd say the Colts in general, I want to get more of, even if I'm pretty okay with where I'm at on Pittman himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have guys that you don't have but you want to?
I feel like the round 6 running back contingent, like the James Cook, Joe
That's a good call.
Mixon, Rashad White, Kenneth
Yep.
Walker, like that little group. Um, I almost feel like that's going to be a pretty pivotal group this year because like the people, like a lot of people are going to be going like 5 wide receivers, like and I mean we did it in the first draft, but it feels like neglecting some of those running backs instead of the receivers is probably not super smart. It's like if you're taking Lad McConkey over like Kenneth Walker, like
Every time. Yeah.
probably yeah, it's probably not the sharpest way to do it.
Oof. Corley goes and Conklin goes. I guess that's fine. We already have the double
Yeah,
stack. Probably
yeah,
didn't want Corley anyway. I like Demarcus Robinson. I have 20% Demarcus Robinson. Um,
okay. I'm not
I
on the Demarcus Robinson. I could have you sell him to me though.
oh yeah.
I'm into it. Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's all just on like what did he do toward the end of last year? Josh Norris has tweeted in, as you can see, I've been drafting him. I'm very much in on it. It's just a matter of like I care. Like people, Davis today on his stream was citing like, but he's been in the NFL for forever. He's never been good. He's too old to have a breakout now. I'm like, yeah, but he kind of had a breakout last year already. Is sort of my thinking.
Yeah.
And like I'm not expecting him to be Puka Nakua. I'm not expecting like a full on breakout, but like if he just has a few of those games that he had 5 straight weeks. All right.
Yeah.
Do we want a tight end here?
Uh,
Or I like Eli Mitchell quite a bit. Khalil Herbert, I love. Um, I'm open. I'm open to. We've got 5 running
yeah, kind
backs.
of like we have the Porter, right? So 5. So I don't mind Kate Otten here. I think that's a
Yep.
uh pretty fun pick. I
And
feel like
I only
he's
have 2.5%, so looks good.
yeah, there you go. Not really correlated to much, I don't think, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't think we have any Carolina on this team, but yeah,
We
we
could
don't have to
tack on a
correlate every.
Jelani Woods because we only have a single stack right now, so we could tack on a Jelani Woods. That's a pretty fun one in the
Good
18th.
call. Yeah, I like that.
And then I'm not sure.
You want me to
We
read
could
off the team we can think
probably
about?
yeah, yeah,
All right, so we have a 2-5-7-2 build right now. So I feel like these are largely luxury picks at this point.
yeah.
We might want a Giants player, but we have Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, going the double AR. We've got Jameer Gibbs, Amir White, Tyjae Spears, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd at running back. We have Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Hopkins, Curtis Samuel, Mike Williams, Dontavian Wicks, Demarcus Robinson at wide receiver, and at tight end, Sam Laporta and Cade Otton.
That's a pretty strong wide receiver group. Um, I feel like another tight end makes sense, especially if we can correlate him with Jelani. And then running backs, I could go either. Wait, do we still have a bunch of bunch of 10 buys,
We
right?
do,
So yeah,
yeah.
probably another running back makes sense. Just all the running backs suck at the end of the draft. Um,
Yeah, saying it's like no matter who we're taking at this point. I mean, I guess we're relying on them to be contingent plays at this point. We're not
yeah,
going to get a starting running back at this point. But
yeah,
still, maybe that's the nice thing about these. I mean, CEH could be interesting
yeah.
there.
CH, I don't hate.
And I'm going to star up a couple: Tyrone Tracy, CEH, because Tyrone Tracy, we don't have any Giants players,
Yeah,
which we might
yeah,
want.
that's
We can
true.
consider. And then we'll star up Jelani. Ooh, I only have 0.6% Jelani Woods.
Oh yeah, let's get him. That's
We
a
could
fun
also throw
experiment.
on a Theo Johnson or Bellinger. Of course, that would be
Yeah,
double week 11 by, but that's, I mean, I guess that's okay. We just need to cover week 5 really, because we have Sam
yeah,
Laporta. We're gonna have week 11 covered.
yeah. I'm actually really so. I'm thinking I'm gonna pull the pieces all together on this article probably early next week for the sim stuff. But one of the things that I'm pretty interested in figuring out is the triple tight end and triple quarterback and kind of comparing those things across just the double. And I feel like I've already like started looking at it for quarterback, and it seems like it makes a lot of sense to go 3, especially if
Yep.
you do the thing where because I still think I'm gonna be of the opinion, and the Sims are gonna show this, that it's like one or the other, either elite QB or elite tight end, not both, is probably best because it
Okay.
gives you a little bit better outs to kind of get your running back and your wide receivers figured out early. And so in that case, if you're taking, one early and you're taking one in round like 8 through 10, I think that group being the 3, is going to be pretty overpowering from a sim standpoint. Like even from the QB standpoint, like I was doing some stuff on the like the Dak, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels group, and tacking a third QB onto that was like really powerful
Interesting.
over the course of the season because like the thing that I think is so it feels like we're getting closer to the point where ADP is like super efficient. Um, and here I'll pause while we make a couple picks
Oh
here.
yeah. So we did get sniped once again by this came. I'm pretty sure this came Des guy is just he's trying to snipe everybody. He's just
Yeah,
trolling. Just a big old troll draft. Tyrone Tracy falls all the way back to us, a little bit past
yeah, that
ADP. He's got on the
seems
Giants.
great.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, seems great.
We don't need to go the Giants guys. I threw them on there just for the correlation. But if you have a tight end that you actually like here, happy to do
I
it.
don't love any of those guys, but I feel like we just take one in the 18th again. So
This is
what
the
do we
18th, so this
got?
is our final
Oh,
pick.
shoot. I thought I was reading 16th. Yeah, screw it. Let's go Theo Johnson. That
All
sounds
right,
fun.
that is fun. All right, good. We're done. We're done with our team. It's a beauty.
Wow. How did the double Giants bring back at the end?
Yeah. Oh man, we have payback on it. So G for Gumby says, "I have Addison, Jefferson, and Hawk, and got sniped on JJ McCarthy." Explain that pick. Dan is in the chat and says, "Payback for sniping my Goddard."
On the scale of sniping, I would say the JJ McCarthy is a lot more egregious than the Goddard, but
Right?
I
Wait,
touche,
where did
Dan.
Goddard? Where did Goddard
At
go?
least there's a reason there.
Yeah, he takes Goddard literally at 116, like after ADP there as his tight end one. Like that's not really a snipe. That's just taking the right pick.
Nez,
That
the
is
answer is Bo Nix. I don't even care what else you have going on. The answer is Bo Nix.
go Bo Nix. This is also a good point. Sam Darnold might just start all year.
Yeah. Did we freeze out here?
Maybe I need to
Oh
click
no, that
back
was
in.
weird.
It was just because that
Oh,
happens
okay.
sometimes when I click out of the
Oh.
stream because I came back to read all the comments. So I clicked out of the stream, and sometimes it
Got it.
freezes out when I click out of the stream.
Well, it's funny because I'm 90 BBMs in right now because and I feel like I'm a little bit scared that
Sam
I'm
Darnold.
ahead of pace. And but the reason that I do that is because I want to live draft or fast draft all my BBMs, and I just like don't have a ton of time to do it. And so what I do is I basically do like one every morning kind of thing. And the reason I just brought up the pause thing is like 6 o'clock Pacific time, 6 a.m. Pacific time, which is like usually when I'm like getting ready to head out the door for work, is like when I think they do something on the site, whether it's like update ADPs or like clean stuff up or whatever the hell. Because every morning, like almost every morning, my draft like pauses randomly in the middle,
Oh, funny.
and it's like so stressful because it's also
Yeah.
like when I'm leaving my house and like I cut out from the Wi-Fi too. And so it's like, is it me? Is it Underdog? Like what's going on? And then it usually just like pauses out for like 2 minutes and then re-up. So yeah, it's pretty funny. So if you're 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, beware. It'll
I
probably
won't
pause
be.
that on you.
I never will. That's way too early for me. Even in Central Time, that's too early for me. I just want to go back over this little thing that just happened because Dan K actually came out first. G for Gumby says, "Do not take Daniel Jones for me," but G for Gumby had the triple stack on the Vikings right before the pick. Dan K goes, "Gumby about to learn Sam Darnold." This was just so spiteful. It was just so he was so mad that Gumby took Dallas Goedert
Man,
after ADP, like as his QB, as his tight end one. And then he actually did it. It was just so spiteful. All right.
that's awesome.
If you guys want us to take a look at your teams, let us know now. We're going to start as usual by taking a look at our team. I know several of you were in the draft with us. Happy to look at your teams if you want us to. We go Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. At running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Amir White, Tyjae Spears, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd, Tyrone Tracy. At wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Hopkins, Curtis Samuel, Mike Williams, Dontavian Wicks, DeMarcus Robinson. Tight end Sam Laporta, Cade Otton, Theo Johnson. We did our game stacks this one. We got Anthony Richardson there with Michael Pittman. And no, we didn't get anybody else. So just Michael Pittman. But then we have the bringbacks of Theo Johnson and Tyrone Tracy from the Giants. Then we have Aaron Rodgers, full on game stack. Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. We have the bringbacks of Curtis Samuel. Is it just that one? Just Curtis Samuel? Maybe it is.
Just
Yep.
Curtis Samuel, yeah.
So we've got that.
And then we've got the Titans too with
Oh yeah,
Spears and
we have
Hopkins.
Spears and Hopkins. I like to see a lot of my guys, as you can see, my exposures pretty high on Demarcus Robinson, Dontavian Wicks. You got me to take some guys that I'm a little bit lower on in general, but trying to up my exposure to. We took Michael Pittman. At least it was after ADP, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me is I don't feel like our wide receiver room is super strong, and Michael Pittman, wide receiver 2, doesn't make me super stoked, but
Good point. Good
I
point.
I
This is
feel
a
like
weak ass wide receiver group.
I feel like really what we're banking on here is that crew right there.
Yep,
D-Hop, Curtis
exactly.
Samuel, Mike Williams, Dontavian Wicks. Like if that foursome is exceeding expectations, which I'm of the opinion all 4 of them should, then we're probably in pretty good shape. But the book would probably tell you we're a little light at wide receiver. But I think it all came together pretty well. I mean, anytime that I feel like we've got probably 9 guys that are week 17 correlated, like that feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I feel like the top of our wide receivers is so weak, but I feel like maybe it's just because I love them so much. Getting Wicks and
Yeah.
Demarcus Robinson
Yep.
like almost makes it okay. Just like we've got
Yeah.
guys that can
Yep.
get us spike weeks from the back half. So I feel like it's not strong, but we kind of made it work. I think it's okay.
Yep.
Nez said it's getting late, but sure thing. So we'll take a look at Nez's team. Nez goes Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix at quarterback. He listened to your advice there. He has
That's a
Bijan
perfect
Robinson.
3
Oh,
QBs.
he also took your advice on Bijan Robinson. Nez said at the beginning of the stream, is John going to get us to draft running backs? He goes Bijan Robinson, Aaron
Oh, yeah.
Jones, Jalen Warren, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, wide receiver Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, Lad McConkey, Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen, Michael Wilson, DJ Chark, tight end Travis Kelce, and Hunter Henry. So he has Justin
I
Herbert
like it.
with Lad McConkey
Damn, he took a naked Bo
and
Nix.
DJ Chark. Oh, he did.
That was
Um,
my fault because I told him to, but,
You did.
I
You
love it.
forced him. You forced him. Remind me who the Chargers are playing.
Chargers are,
Uh,
Patriots.
Patriots. Yeah, yeah. No. Oh yes, Hunter Henry on the bring back for that one. Then he has Baker Mayfield with Chris Godwin. Does he have Carolina? He has Adam Thielen bring back on that one. And then he has Bo Nix naked. Does he have Cincinnati?
Could be the guy you need.
I'm like, so I've speculated, like I've kind of wondered if you even want a bring back, if you're taking a naked quarterback, like does it matter? Like you're really just taking him for like to cover a week at some point, like
I mean, if in a vacuum, Nez, I would have said to take Kendrick Bourne now that I'm looking at it, but, whatever.
you had to listen to
Maybe
John.
maybe naked Bo Nix rushes for 3 touchdowns in week 17, and that's what you need.
Um, yeah, it looks like a good team there. As long as you get the Bo Nix 3 rushing touchdowns game. All right. What up, green check mark? Long time no see. Dan told me not to review his team because it's purely a meme.
That's gonna make the JJ McCarthy snipe even more painful.
All right, Andrew, I will take a look at your team. Andrew, who is going to be coming on the stream at some point in the future.
Nice.
We haven't scheduled it out yet. Andrew goes Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Rashad White, Devin Singletary, J.K. Dobbins, CEH, and Otter Estimate at running back, wide receiver, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Rashid Shaheed, Ricky Pearsall, Wandell Robinson, Tez Walker, and Mark Andrews and Cole Kmet at tight end. So he's got Lamar Jackson with Tez Walker and
Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
I like
Does
that.
he have any Houston? No. So just he has a team stack there for Baltimore. Then he has Caleb Williams with DJ Moore
Lockett bring back.
and Komet, and then he has
Komet,
a
yeah.
double bring back with Lockett and Metcalf on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. Looks good to me. Strong at quarterback. He's got McCaffrey, White, Singletary, strong at running back. Some nice picks at the end. Got the CEH pick. Metcalf. I've been Seattle's a team that I don't know exactly what my exposure is, but I know that I want a lot of Seattle. Definitely a team that I'm pretty in on this year. So I like that team. Any thoughts, John?
Yeah, I feel like Seattle is not one I'm getting to a lot. But I could see it, and I probably should change that around a little bit. I almost always take Neighbors over Metcalf, and
I
then
like Neighbors too. Yeah.
I don't take a lot of JSN, but I know a lot of sharp people are on JSN, so I should probably change that up a little bit. And then Lockett is almost like not even on the board when I'm in that range, but I am going to be moving up Curtis Samuel, and I feel like Lockett makes a little bit of sense in that same kind of group. So yeah, I don't disagree with the Seattle take. I just feel like they're all in spots where I don't like drafting them right
It is
now.
a little tough, yeah, especially because Lockett's been moving up, JSN's been moving up. It was a little bit easier a month ago. Now there, it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little bit
yeah.
tough. All right, we'll go quick because I know you. It sounds like you are an early bird, John. So we got to go quick through these
Oh yeah.
teams so you can go to bed. All right. And if you need to leave, you can cut out and I can review
Oh
without you if
no,
you.
no.
Okay, cool.
Let's go. I like it.
All right. G for Gumby wants to know if he salvaged his team. Let's
Let's
take
see
a look
it.
at that. All right. He has Geno Smith, Drake May, Daniel Jones at quarterback. At running back, he
Strong
has
QB.
strong. Yeah, that's right. Devin Achan, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Blake Corum, Eli Mitchell. Wide receiver, he has Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, JSN, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Polk. Tight end Dallas Goddard, TJ Hawkinson, Daniel Bellinger. Just instinctively, first thing I see, I feel like you should have taken JJ McCarthy here on this team. Just one note for this for you right away. Should have taken JJ McCarthy on this team. He just trolling now. He has Geno Smith with
Yeah,
JSN. Does he have any Chicago? DeAndre Swift bringback, so he's
Swift,
got
yeah.
a game stack there. He's got Drake May with Jalen Polk.
Yeah.
Does he have any Chargers? No Chargers bringbacks. And then he has Daniel Jones with Malik Neighbors and Daniel Bellinger. And then the Giants playing the Colts. No Colts. Yeah, I think it's a decent team. Like he's the quarterback's like glad you took 3 with this group, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good group to take 3, yeah.
Um
I like it.
running
I don't
back.
mind it.
Yeah, everything looks good. You know, top 3 running backs really good. Corum, Elijah Mitchell, I like as where they're going. Got him past ADP as well. Looks good. Strong wide receivers. Again, yeah, takes Hawkinson, so sort of needed a third tight end plus needed the correlation. So
Yeah.
I think it worked out there. Yeah, I think it's a good looking team. I think you salvaged it. I think you did. All right, let's see. Het, he's pick 3. We'll take a look at that one. I think he said that he liked his last team better. I think that was Het who said that. Goes Tua, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis at quarterback. So 3 different buys. I like that. Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, Zach Moss, Kendry Miller, Jawar Jordan at running back. Having some issues with the buys here.
Who's what number 5 there?
Jawar Jordan. So he's there. There is some
Okay.
there are those that believe that he could be the RB2 for Houston.
Okay.
Some people are super into him, think that he is great. I have yet to take a share of Jawar Jordan, but I am familiar that there are people who are big believers. Probably worth taking. I probably prefer him in a time box contest right now, but I think it's a fine pick. He has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on this team. He goes Devontae Smith, Brian Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen McMillan, Tyler Boyd. At tight end, he has Evan Ingram, David Njoku, and Chiga Konkwo. So he's got Tua with the double stack Hill and Waddle.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have gone 3 tight end with Ingram and Njoku.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, especially like taking him 17 picks at ADP. I guess it was because he has Levis. He was just trying to do a back stack there. I would have gone. Oh, he did go Boyd also. So we wanted the double stack. Yeah, it's fine, but yeah, I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it either. But yeah, he's got the double stack, and he has the Njoku bring back from Cleveland, along with Jerry Jeudy from Cleveland. So we got a full on Miami Cleveland game stack. Oh, and he has Deshaun Watson, so they are bring backs of each other. And then he has Will Levis with oh yeah, he has Boyd and Chig. He has the bring back there of Evan Ingram and Brian Thomas. So he's full on game stacks here. Um, I have
I
my
think the double QB week 17 is probably not the greatest thing to try to do. Um,
yeah,
I feel like it just limits your outs a little bit, right? Like yeah, you want to make you want to kind of make a smaller parlay, but I feel like you also want to have like two outs at QB, and if you have both of them in the same game, like then you like really need that game to go off, right? Like you could Miami Cleveland, right? Like that could easily be, a Miami blowout or something,
right,
right? Like if like one of those sides hitting is probably a lot more realistic than both sides hitting, right?
yeah,
And so I feel like if you're trying to bet on, like, you wanna have both of your QBs hitting, pushing each other to try to, have the highest score hit your lineup. And so I feel like in from that sense, like, the amount of games that end up in real life shootouts, like Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, whatever that game was, 54-51 or whatever,
right.
like that isn't really happening a ton, right? And
And you
so,
only get one
I don't know.
quarterback that you can play regardless. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. I would prefer to me that's like kind of a minor tiebreaker. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
have the stacks
yeah,
for both because you've already built it up, like sure, why not go
yeah.
for 3 quarter? But yeah, definitely something that I'd prefer to have the quarterbacks in different games if you can work that out. I'm with you on that. Um, Overall, though, I think it was a strong team. My biggest concern, just my immediate concern as a bye week pro, I see you've got three. You only took 5 running backs in week 6. You're relying on Jawar Jordan to score some fantasy points for you. You could very well get just one running back scoring points for you in or sorry week 12. Week 12 is when he has 3 on bye. So maybe I guess by then that's a little more likely that Jawar Jordan is in and scoring fantasy points by then, but still relying on Jawar Jordan does not feel good. Not the end of the world, but um, just a note. I think I agree with you that your first team was stronger. All right. Tomsky from the 12 hole goes with, yep, don't know what I just did there. So at quarterback, he has Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins. That is Kirk Cousins. Damn, look at that. 33 picks past ADP on Kirk Cousins. Kyler and Kirk Cousins. Then he goes Trey Benson, Jerome Ford, Rico Dowdle, Jalen Wright, Tyler Algier, Chuba Hubbard at running back. At wide receiver, he has Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Romo Dunze, Jacoby Myers, Greg Dortch, Rondell Moore at tight end, Kyle Pitts, and Brock Bowers. So he's got Kyler he has Trey Benson as part of that stack, along with Greg Dortch. Is it just those? Yeah. And then he has from the Rams, nobody from the Rams on that one. Then he's got Kirk Cousins with Tyler Algier and Rondell Moore and Kyle Pitts. He has the Washington Terry McLaurin bring back. So he's got the bring back on that one. Quarterbacks look good. I think that's a strong enough quarterback room. Running back, he waits for Trey Benson as his first. I don't love Trey Benson as the first running back, but he's got Jerome Ford and Rico Dowdle who should be scoring fantasy points early in the year. So he's a little bit. He has some guys who can score some points early. Then he has Benson, Jalen Wright, Tyler Algier, more a bunch of and he's Chuba Hubbard actually. I kind of like the Hubbard pick in this room. So he has 3 running backs who should be scoring points early in the year in Ford, Dowdle, and Hubbard. Then he has the contingent upside guys in Algier, Wright, and Benson. I think that's pretty good balance actually. Any notes here, John? I think you're muted.
I like Algier on my list of guys that I need to try to get ramped up again. I was actually drafting a ton of him early, and then I lowered him down, and so now I want to bring him back up because I feel like he's I actually saw someone post on Twitter like about like the leverage kind of stuff, like taking Algier with Reese and taking Braylon Allen with Bijan. And like that stuff just makes like a ton of sense to me. And I think I tweeted it like the tweet was like, here's a couple galaxy brain ideas, like do this. And I'm like, I don't think that's galaxy brain at all. Like, I think that's just like smart leverage, right? Like, same thing as like taking like Waddle with with CD, or Waddle with like Jamar Chase, or like
Sure.
vice versa. Like any time that you can like get direct leverage off a guy who's like entrenched in ADP right next to that player, like I think it's super smart. And so, anyways, Algier. That's a long way to say I really like the Algier pick, and I want to try to get more of him.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Um, Looks like a good pick there. He points out that he has New Orleans, Las Vegas stack also without the quarterbacks on that one. Yeah, it's a good, nice little secondary correlation within the team. I think it looks good. Obviously, tight end's very strong. I like as I said, I like the balance of the running backs. John likes the leverage with the Algier pick. Um, Quarterbacks look good. Wide receivers look good. Yeah, I think it's a strong team. Was that our last one? Oh yeah. Dan says Algier is his second highest owned player, or running back. Yeah, it worked out that Chuba fell to you. Um, and let me just oh yeah, we just did D. Lutomsky, so I think that we have covered all the teams. I did want to ask Dion says on the review side of things, if I have a monster team, but it was drafted pre-buys and has Stroud and Anthony Richardson and Andrew Schultz, I am just nuked to bye weeks. I mean, yeah, you're gonna be struggling a little bit in week 14. You're gonna be hoping that you gap the
Yeah.
field enough prior to week 14 that is not going to be an issue for you. But yeah, that week you're without. Assuming you don't have anybody else there, you're without a quarterback or a tight end for that week. So you're hoping that you're 50 plus fantasy points ahead of the field and you can just survive it anyway. Yeah, for that 1 week you're going to be hurting a bit. All right. I think that we covered all of the teams here, John. I will
That
allow
was
you
fun.
mercifully. Now you can go to bed. Now, well past your bedtime, I'm sure.
No, it's all good.
John, really, really, Chip says he fell asleep. John, I really appreciate you coming on the stream, hanging out with me late at night. This was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you sharing your research. Is this your research on the Sims for best ball? Is this going to be coming out in your newsletter anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna try to get it out next week, I would say. I feel like I'm in the stage where I'm like really close to putting all the pieces together, and now I just gotta like make sure somebody can read through it and have it all make sense. So it was actually fun to talk about it on this show because I feel like I flushed through like the right way to talk about it a little bit. So
Nice,
thanks for
nice.
giving me the outlet here,
Happy to be your sounding board.
yeah, it'll all kind of come together next week, hopefully.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Anything else? Where can people find you? Anything else that they should be looking out for from you?
Yeah, just Twitter, JonBoyBeats. I do the ADP velocity thing I was talking about. I've been doing a scroll the F down Fridays thing of good targets to scroll down to at the end of drafts. Whatever's kind of picking my brain at the moment. Right now I'm stuck on the Sims, but I'm sure in a couple weeks I'll be off that and onto something else. So
Hell
give me a
yeah.
follow.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about John. He's always working on something, and he's going to share his work with us. So yeah, give him a follow and follow the newsletter as well. He is shared on Twitter. Go check that out. I always forget to remind people, please do like the video, subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Yes.
Also, if you haven't already, I'm trying to get up to 2,000 subs. We are a couple hundred away at this point, so would
Yeah.
appreciate anybody subscribing to the channel. All right, thank you, John, once again for coming on. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Catch you next time.